Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
Have you ever seen an NFT in the flesh? Seen one? That's an NFT.
Oh, very cool.
Did you ever know?
Sorta.
Yeah.
I've never seen a physical one.
That's
like
a visual representation.
Right, yeah,
of
a
an
physical
NFT.
digital one.
Yeah, I mean the actual NFT. Does that come with that? Do I have to like scan it?
Is
or
that you and
something?
Marshall?
I was gonna have to
No,
talk about that
that's
later.
Elon. It's
should-
called. It says Giga Chad. The idea. I don't know why that. What Giga Chad is.
Maybe
It's
we
like-
should save this for the podcast.
We are podcasting.
Are we?
Yeah, it's rolling. That's how we roll. But it's this guy Beeple. Do you know who Beeple is?
I do know who
Yeah.
people is.
Beeple was here the other day, and he.
No way.
Yeah, he gave me that. It's the shit. He's cool as fuck. He's a fun guy.
I can't wait to hear that one.
He's really fun.
His art is badass, dude.
amazing.
It's
Amazing.
crazy.
I mean, he puts out a piece every day.
I didn't know
One
that.
piece of artwork every day, and he's done that for 12 years.
Some of the stuff he did, I follow him on Instagram. Like after he sold that one for $60 million, I was like, who the
Yeah.
hell is this dude, right? So I did the full deep dive in his Instagram and stuff, and like above your normal feed when you look at all the boxes, there's like all the different things you can click on. There's like past stories and stuff. He had this really neat like digital moving art of like these big babies with like weird people's heads on them that were, like, going through the streets and
Yeah.
wild out there stuff, but it was cool, man. So creative and insane.
Yeah, all of his stuff is like that. It's all just like really true. But it's so funny when you talk to him. He's like, people are trying to find hitting meaning. I don't know what the fuck it means. He goes, I just made it. I don't know what it means. It's just like he had one of them with a bunch of dicks on like missile silos, and there were dicks. He goes, it's just a bunch of dicks. I don't know what I'm doing. It's just
Not
there's
political.
no fucking hitting meaning. It's just dicks.
Yeah.
Like this is look at this.
Yeah,
Hillary and Trump, and they're spraying milk as they walk down the street as a robot. Look at this one. God.
It's so insane.
But that's all of his stuff. It's all like really bizarre,
Wow.
but so interesting.
Yeah, this one is the one with Zuckerberg.
Yeah, with tits.
Yeah.
And a robot spider-looking thing body.
I mean,
Look at this one.
it's intense, dude.
Look at this one with
It's
this-
intense.
It's a Trump mask, and it's spraying stuff out of its vagina hole and giving birth to Hillary Clinton. It's like, what the hell, bro?
Yeah, it's kind of disturbing,
Oh, yeah.
but super creative and cool. Like the art is incredible.
Look at this one. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's way more palatable when you meet him. You're like, oh, you're not a serial killer. You're
What's
like-
seriously, right? And like, where does he get his inspiration? Is he just like on acid all day long? Like,
No, he's just an artist. I mean, he actually like was panicking when I gave him a glass of scotch. I was
Wow.
like, oh Jesus, oh boy, what are we doing here? Oh, like one glass of whiskey, and he was a little nervous. Right?
his mind.
His mind's brilliant.
That's crazy.
Well, he's just a great artist, and he's also like super dedicated. I mean, he puts out one of those every single day. Christmas, New Year's, Halloween, doesn't matter, every day.
Isn't that weird if you asked 100 different people in America if they know what an NFT is and know how to explain it, there's be such a low percentage that actually would, and yet that like this dude named Beeple like sold the most expensive artwork in history, right?
Well,
It's an NFT.
Yeah, it's not the most expensive artwork, but it's the most expensive NFT. The most expensive artwork is more
Crazy.
than that. The most expensive painting, I believe, is that really controversial painting that they're trying to credit it with being a Leonardo da Vinci, but I think it's in dispute, and then it's also in dispute as to how many people painted it. That it might be more than one. It's Salvador.
Yeah, it's right.
Salvador Dali?
$450 million is
Yeah,
supposedly
$450 million.
the value.
But
Wow.
But the thing is, like, someone bought it, and they bought it. You don't know the history of this? It's a crazy Salvador Monday. This is a crazy story. Someone bought it really cheap, and when they had it, it was like painted over. And then they hired someone to do a restoration of it, which means like whatever the paint that was over it, they slowly, meticulously remove. And as they did that, they discovered there was a spectacular painting underneath it. So that's what it used to look like when it was all fucked up and there was like paint all over it and shit. Well, when they restored it and they realized what was underneath it, they started calling it the male Mona Lisa. But it's really controversial because some people don't believe that it's a Leonardo da Vinci, and some people believe that multiple people painted it. Like there's a different time period where the hand was painted versus the rest of the painting, and they think that like somebody might have painted it after the fact. And so they were gonna put it in the Louvre in Paris, right next to the Mona Lisa. That's what the guy who owns it wanted them to do. And they were like, yeah, we don't know if this is real. We can't do that.
And that's a huge problem.
That's a huge problem. So he's got it on his fucking giganto yacht. So it's in some sort of, climate-controlled environment on a yacht. A $450 million painting.
A $450 million painting that you don't even know if it's authentic or not.
Well, it's
and
real
super,
controversial.
Disputable.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that are really good at faking historical artists. Like there was one documentary that I remember watching of this one guy who's an incredibly talented artist who can mimic the way Picasso painted, the way Rembrandt painted, and who had developed these fakes, and they were so good, and they would sell them as like a lost Picasso, and they would be worth like a shitload of money.
And that's a problem.
Fucking big one.
And think about it. That's a huge reason. That's kind of the power of the NFT, right? Is it's like verifiable authenticity. That's never going to happen again in the art world, like that.
Right.
Like when you look up that NFT, it's going to tell you exactly when it was created, exactly when it was sold, who it was sold from, who it was sold to.
Yeah.
And it's verifiable, right? So forever in the future, you'll know exactly that NFT will explain everything when you look at it on the blockchain.
And it's got a QR code, which I don't know what happens if you scan it.
It's a trip.
What do you think happens?
I like it. Did you buy that?
No, he gave it to me for free. For free.
Is that something
I was going to say the uses go beyond art. Art is the first use for NFT.
Right.
Contracts, receipts.
It's the most obvious one, right?
Yeah.
But like all like airplane, like your boarding pass and all that stuff in the future will be NFTs. I've been kind of down a rabbit hole, like an NFT rabbit hole.
Have
recently,
you?
Yeah.
Are you going to start selling them?
No, but I have really good friends that like live in the metaverse and they
boy.
like buy and sell NFTs. They're like NFT traders and stuff. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, Jamie was explaining to me that the metaverse, the way fucking Zuckerberg has done it, he just capitalized the letter.
Yeah, it's different. It's like they're starting the brand of metaverse, but that's like starting the brand of the internet right now. Like you can't do that.
How do you do that? How is he doing?
Or they're trying to,
But it was already a thing. Like the term metaverse was already a thing. Then they own it now.
Yeah, they took over someone's Instagram account.
Oh,
just
they did?
took it.
Just took it?
Yeah.
Really?
Some girl she's had it for a while, I guess.
And did she get pissed? We should interview her.
I tried to look up what happened, like if they gave her money or something, but they just took it.
They better give her money. Imagine if they didn't. Well, they own Instagram though. That's the problem.
Sorry, they took hers and gave it back, but they took the Meta one, which was run by like a motorcycle bag.
But they own it. See, they own Instagram, which is fucked.
So he's like, yeah, guess what? I own it.
Yeah, that's
I own
mine.
that.
Shane
This
Dorian?
is my property.
That's a funny thing, Shane Dorian, because that's my name. My name's Shane Dorian. Just fucking steal your shit. Yeah, it's odd, right?
It's very odd.
Like some guy had Joe Rogan. His actual name was Joe Rogan. So I had to buy it from him. I bought it from him like 9 years ago or whatever. Whenever I started Instagram. When did I start Instagram?
Oh, yeah, didn't you have JoeRogan.net for a while or
Yeah,
something?
something like that. I think I had Joe Rogan Experience.
Okay.
I had like the name of the podcast. And then I found him. Like I got a hold of him. And he wasn't even using it. I forget what I gave him.
And was
for
he
it.
cool?
Yeah, nice guy.
Imagine the value inflation from the last 9 years of what that would have cost for Instagram, you know?
Yeah. Well, also like Joe Rogan Experience didn't have that many followers when I did it. It was like I was pretty new to Instagram. Everlast talked me into it. Everlast from the House of Pain. I was just on Twitter only. And then he's like, man, you got to get on this Instagram. I'm like, what is this, just pictures? Why is that a big deal? And that's all I use now. I post things to Instagram that eventually go to Twitter. I posted one time. Maybe I repost things. Like if someone has like a cool article or something.
It's on Twitter.
Yeah, I'll repost things. Something's interesting.
Twitter's sketchy.
Yeah, I went to look at my Twitter and I look like a crazy COVID person because there's so many of the things that I'm retweeting are about COVID. It's like I'm obsessed with
and
COVID
it creates
all the time.
it creates an echo chamber, right? That's like the whole like thing about Twitter.
It definitely does. Yeah, there's a lot of people on there that are just speaking to the choir. It's funny because, like, you can tell based on someone's, who they are, how people are going to respond to the things they write. Like if someone is politically, very left-wing, if they get trolled a lot, though, that's what's interesting. So, like, they'll post something, and if they don't control who comments, you'll see, like, whenever a politician posts something, you get a bunch of the people that oppose them on the other side just attacking them and mocking them and belittling them. It's just super unhealthy way to communicate, all of it.
It is.
And there's not that many people on it either. That's the thing. There's a lot of people because there's a lot of people in the world. But in terms of, like, most people in the country, Twitter's not the real world. But the people on Twitter, it's their world. It's the whole world. It's like they're so obsessed because so many people because Twitter's so addictive. So many people who are on Twitter are on it all the fucking time, constantly checking. And so anything negative or positive that happens on Twitter, they think spills over into the real world in like real measurable ways. And
how the algorithm works, how it like creates an echo chamber in your feed.
Yeah.
It allows you to think that the way you think is the way everybody thinks because everybody, all this stuff like populates into your feed. Like if you're, whatever your political views are or your religious views are, you just end up having that's all in your feed. So like you walk out of your Twitter world and you think everyone thinks like you, and when they don't, you start hating those people instead of just having like a disagreement with their views and their ideology.
Well, that's what's going on clearly in the polarized parts of our country, whether it's polarized on the right or polarized on the left. They think that everybody should think their way. Oh, I should point this out while we're talking about this. There's a bunch of people that have been saying that Peter McCullough, the doctor that was on the other day, is complaining about being censored on the internet because the podcast has been removed from YouTube and some other places that he uploaded it. I just talked to Peter, and that's not him. So it's someone imitating him. Now, whether or not it's someone on his team that's imitating him and he doesn't know about it, but the posts from his account that are complaining about being censored, he had no idea what I was talking about. When I talked to him, he was like rattling off all those things, studies and this thing, and I've got this new study and this new data, and he's just being like how he was in the podcast, just like super nerded out on medical statistics, and he had no idea. So the whole Twitter thing and social media is very confusing. There's people pretending to be me, and I've tried to do something about it, but I don't know what to do with it. There's multiple people pretending to be me and uploading things. So he goes, I was not aware that it has been removed or even re-uploaded, and I don't have time for that. I'm in the middle of a conference right now, and I'm doing a conference right now. I'm speaking to 100 doctors. And he's like rattling off data to me, and the dude's just a fucking freight train of information. Just
I can't wait to listen to that one.
It's a good one.
I had about I don't know, like 6 or 8 people send me the link to it already. So
it's a good one. But I just want everybody to know it is not Dr. Peter McCullough that is complaining about censorship. And if the podcast gets uploaded anywhere else, whether it's YouTube or Rumble, and it gets taken down, it's not being taken down because of censorship. It's being taken down because Spotify owns the podcast. Spotify licensed the podcast for the years that I'm on Spotify, so you can't upload it anywhere else. Doesn't mean it's being censored. It means you got to go to Spotify to watch it. It's available for free for everybody. But, Spotify's paying for it. That's why you can't just fucking upload it places.
I feel like everybody has Spotify.
It's not hard to get. It's very simple.
Yeah.
There's another thing that people need to know. Here's another thing. There's a bunch of people that are saying that Spotify is they're in dispute with comedians and they're not paying comedians, so they're removing comedians off of their platform instead of paying them royalties. It's quite a bit more complicated than that. And here's what I know. There's a company that they're claiming they represent all these comedians, but they don't. And they're reaching out to Spotify as representatives of these comedians. How do I know this? Because they're claiming to represent me, and they don't. They have no business with me, and yet they were claiming to represent me. So I don't know what the fuck is going on, but because of the complaints, I've reached out to Spotify to go, hey, what is this? What's happening here? Give me the real story. And then I got from my managers that these people are actually claiming they represent you, which is 100% not true. So there's some fuckery going on. And most likely it's someone who's trying to do something and make it look like they're in business with all these high-profile people, and then do something with the royalties and try to get money for these people and maybe take a piece of it or something. I don't know what the deal is, but I do know whoever these people are, they're pretending that they represent me when they fucking for sure don't. So there's that.
There's a lot of misinformation out there these days.
There is.
And cutting through the bullshit is
so hard.
It's difficult. It's more complicated than ever. I think it's by design.
Well, I don't know if it's by design. It's just, the world is fucking confusing.
Yeah.
You know, this digital world that we live in is like, God damn it, there's so much going on. There's so many platforms and there's so much fucking material floating around and NFTs and
NFTs.
Everybody has a podcast. Do you know there's 2 million goddamn podcasts now? 2 million. 2 million. And Jamie, wasn't there like 1 million at the start of the pandemic?
I'll check now. It's probably 2.5 million or something.
It grows like a fucking weed.
Everybody's got a podcast.
Yeah, everybody's got one. I have people coming on my shows, to my comedy shows, yelling out, "Will you be on my podcast?" I'm like, "What? Who are you?
Yeah,
what is happening?"
April, there was 2 million. So
yeah, probably by now there's like way more. Yeah, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Oh my God, December. Oh my God, it's probably like another million.
The same website. It didn't really update the sites. I think it's kind of done by AI.
But a year before that, it was only 1 million, or a year and a half before that. When the pandemic started, I remember we were having a conversation. I was like, "How many podcasts are there?" And then we Googled it, and it was like 900-something thousand. So it was like close to a million.
That's crazy.
Now
That's already so many.
Crazy.
This says 4.5 million
Jesus.
total podcasts registered around the world, according to podcastindex.org.
And Joe Rogan's #1. That's crazy, though. Think about
nuts.
how nuts that is. It's funny. One of my really, really good friends has a podcast, and he said, "Will you do my podcast?" And I said, "No." He's one of my really good friends. He's all, "What? You go on Joe Rogan's podcast and you can't do mine?" And you're like, one of my best friends. And but he's the kind of guy. He's one of these guys who likes to start things, but doesn't follow through all the time. So I told him, I said, "I'll do your 100th episode. So you got to prove to me that you're serious about this whole podcast thing, because, a podcast can be easy to start, but having like a track record, having like hundreds and hundreds of podcasts, a lot of people give up before then, right?"
That's like everything, though. That's like workouts, diets.
Well, I just figured it was important to get my message across that.
My time is serious, bitch.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, you have a family, you have work obligations, you're a surfer. Surfing must eat up a lot of fucking time.
Not enough. I love surfing. So yeah, it doesn't eat up enough time, but it does.
Awesome.
It's time consuming, and it's one of those things in my life that I wish I could do even more than I already do.
That is so awesome that's what you do for a living. I love hearing that, because like that's what everybody should strive for. Something that you love doing, that you've been doing. Like, you've been surfing for like how many years now?
I'm 49. I started when I was 5. So a shit ton of time.
So 44 years of doing something and you can't get enough of it. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
That's life right there. If you can nail that, if you could find a thing that you love for 40 plus years and you can't get enough of it.
Think of that. 4 decades. 4 decades of something that I'm like wildly passionate about still. Like, I'm like insanely in love with surfing. Like, it's like a massive part of my life. You know how they say like this is what you do, but it's not who you are. Like with surfing, I feel like it's who I am.
Well, you fucked your knee up pretty bad snowboarding. Why don't you explain what happened?
That's a good way to say it.
Yeah, you really mangled that fucker, huh?
I fucked up my knee bad. I was snowboarding in Mammoth, California with my son Jackson last winter, and they had 10 feet of snow in 3 days.
Whoa.
10 feet of snow in 3 days. Like we parked our car, went to sleep, woke up in the morning, and our car was like a mound of snow. It was like this. it was like a 12-foot mound of snow, and my car was in there. Anyway, I was following him down the hill, and he didn't realize how close I was behind him. And we were flying, going super, super fast. And then he just stopped on a dime to wait for me. He thought I was like 100 yards behind him or whatever.
Oh, no.
I was right behind him, which is my fault. You should never do that. But I didn't really know that. So I was right on top of him instantly. And a snowboard's deadly, right? Like super sharp edges. And I just went, like I was on my toe edge. So I just couldn't like stop instantaneously, and I was gonna run right into him. So I literally just tried to jump over him because I didn't want my board to hit him and like
oh my God.
kill him. And I had to like make this choice super fast in a split second. And so literally he just stopped and I was right on top of him and I jumped to get over him and he was standing next to a tree and my legs went right around the tree. It was one of those like instantaneous, like it all happened so quick, but it was like almost in slow motion as I like fell into the snow and just went, the next year flashed before my eyes like, holy shit. All this fun shit that I really, really wanted to do just evaporated into thin air.
Oh. And what was the damage?
I had full tears on my ACL and MCL. So it was proper fucked.
Meniscus as well?
My meniscus was fine.
Oh, that's lucky.
My cartilage is fine.
That's lucky. That's the tough stuff.
I was lucky, super, super lucky in that way, incredibly fortunate, and I'm grateful for that. And it was super cool. I got off the mountain, the ski patrol came and got me. It was funny, like my friend's like, man, maybe it's not that bad. I'll just get you up and you can see what it feels like. And I'm like still strapped into my snowboard. So he picks me up, my buddy Chris, he picks me up and I'm like, it's screwed, dude, my knee's screwed. And he's like, well, you don't know, it just could be like swollen. And when you know, but I stood up and you know, your snowboard, like, so instantly I like moved like an inch and my knee was like just jelly. It was like, there was nothing there. And I just sat back and ski patrol took me down the mountain. And so I FaceTimed my buddy Warren Kramer, who's an incredible surgeon. And I FaceTimed him and he goes, dude, get in your car tomorrow morning early, drive down here. We'll get you, we'll get you scanned, figure it out. But for sure it's bad by the sound of it. And, you know, he had me move it all these different ways. And as soon as I got on his table the next morning, he goes, you have a blown ACL and a blown MCL, complete tears. And I was like, how would you know that? He literally was just feeling it and like, you know, like manipulating my leg.
Yeah.
And he goes, I mean, thank God I was friends with him. He goes, I'm gonna squeeze you into my surgery schedule in the next 2 days. And so I was from like in the mountain, wrapped around a tree to in surgery. My wife, Lisa, got on a flight the next day or that day from Hawaii to fly out for my surgery and take care of me and all that. But it sucked.
The ACL, did they use a cadaver?
They used my patellar tendon for both.
Oh, for both.
And they bored holes out of my. I'm gonna totally botch this, so I'm not gonna try to.
Yeah, I had a
patella
tendon graft. They bore holes out of your knee and your shin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they pull the piece of bone and they use that to screw it back in place as your ACL.
That's why it's so strong. And your body accepts the patellar tendon as a ligament, correct?
Yeah, I mean it'll definitely accept it as a ligament. What it actually works on the same way the cadaver does. What happens is your body proliferates it, so it probably accepts it easier because it's already a part of your body. But when you get a cadaver graft, what happens is with mine they used a Achilles tendon. I had both done, so I had one done with a patella tendon graft and one done with a cadaver. And the cadaver was way easier to recover, way easier, and it did like way less invasive. So they put it in there, and then you have a dead guy's Achilles tendon inside your knee.
So you're a part dead guy.
And then your body reproliferates it with its own cells, and it takes 6 to 9 months for that to fully happen. But the problem is you start feeling pretty good like a couple months in, and a lot of guys, especially a lot of fighters, they blow their knee out a second time.
Yeah.
Because they go too soon. They practice too soon.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because I'm older now or whatever, but it's taken a long time. It's been about 10 months.
It takes a long time. My left knee, which I did with a patella tendon graft, it was about a year before it felt right. Like a year. And then even after that, when I would kneel on something, like if I'm doing jiu-jitsu and I'm on my knees, it hurts. Just like the surface of it hurts.
Well, and a couple months ago, I was expecting it to already be pretty good by that point, say like 8 months in or 7 months in, but it didn't feel right. It felt like it just did not feel right. I could never imagine it ever being back to 100%. And that's when I talked to you and you were like, hey, get to Austin. And I was coming here anyway, with my son to go surfing in the wave pool. And you said, let's get some stem cells in that thing. And it was like night and day. in about a week, it was a whole lot better.
Yeah, we got you into Ways to Well, and my boy Brigham, he's awesome. And Denise, and they got you a gang of stem cells and shot them in there. I knew it was gonna help. It just helps. It's the technology and where medicine is at now with biologics like stem cell recovery. It's all been like people that are skeptical about it. There's a guy named Dr. Neil Reardon. He's written many books on it, and there's many papers written on the effects of it. It's not nonsense. It's real. I had a full-length rotator cuff tear in my right shoulder. It's completely gone. No surgery. It just completely disappeared. Completely healed back up because of stem cells.
I feel like there's some injuries where stem cells would be super effective, but it's not like, like Robitussin has that, like, put Robitussin on it.
That's an old Eddie Murphy bit. Yeah.
So I think there's some injuries that like stem cells may not do that much, but for like my knee or your rotator cuff, I mean, I'm like a true believer now. There was so much friction in my knee before we did that day. It just felt so like, I don't know, like clicky and stiff and like lots of friction, like I said, and then all of a sudden just felt like lubricated, like it was being supported from the inside. It was pretty awesome. For those who have never tried stem cells for anything, I'm baffled by it.
No, it's amazing. My wife had a labrum, like a worn labrum. It was like, I forget what it's called, a frayed labrum. That's what it was, in her hip. And she was really worried that she was going to have surgery because a friend of ours, his wife, had a very similar issue. She was a dancer, and she was all set up for surgery. They were all set up for surgery, and they said, let's just try stem cells before the surgery. So they gave her, not my wife, my friend's wife, they gave her stem cells, and she was like scheduled for surgery. They gave her stem cells, and then when they went in for surgery to look at it, like, there's no injury here anymore. So they did an invasive, non-invasive with, they do like a little scope to go in there. Like, the injury's gone. And she was already saying that the pain had stopped happening. So all of the fray, all of the tear in the labrum had healed itself from stem cells. And the same thing happened to my wife. Like, she had this frayed labrum, and it was like really fucking with her. She had one shot of stem cells in there. And then like a couple months later, there's no more pain. It healed itself. It's amazing what they can do. I mean, it's not everything. You can't fix everything with it, but you can most certainly fix things that you were fucked just 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And I think 10 years from now, they'll probably have it even better. And if you go to other countries, they can do wild shit. Like, I have friends that go down to Colombia and to Peru and Panama, and they get stem cells down there, and holy Jesus, they can just do all kinds of crazy shit. They just have you down there for 3 or 4 days and just keep shooting you up.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's dangerous. I mean, I don't know why they can't do it in America. I'm not sure. I'm not sure like what the rub is, but the FDA gets in the way and cock blocks the stem cells.
Well, there's some fishy stuff out there that people are hawking, and there's some doctors that are, like the stem cells thing, like I was saying this morning, is like a side hustle for some of these guys. And so I was like pretty kind of skeptical. And honestly, thank you for inviting me out here to do it.
Oh, my pleasure.
Because I probably wouldn't have done it if you hadn't. And I actually went and met with a couple doctors about my back years ago about stem cells, and the guys were sketch, and you could tell it was like a lucrative side hustle for them. And so I was so psyched to, like meet the Ways to Well guys. They're so legit and so super professional, and just like talking to them, and I just like my personal experience has been insane. So thank you.
My pleasure. My buddy John Wolf, who's the head trainer over at the Anna Gym, he went down to Colombia for his back. He went to the is it BioAccelerator? Yeah, BioAccelerator people, and they shot stem cells into his discs in his spine, into all the discs that he was having issues with. And he's like, my God. He's like, they told me it was going to get worse before it got better because it'll be inflamed because of the treatment. And he goes, but honestly, it really didn't hurt that bad. But within a couple of weeks, I started noticing I have more range of motion, and more range of motion in his back. Conceivably, what they think they can do, whether they can do it now, it's hard to say what they're actually capable of doing in these other countries where they have like way more leeway to try things out. But conceivably in the future, they're going to be able to inject into the discs itself, and you will grow more disc material. So for people like me that have had like a lot of back trauma. Like I've had it from jiu-jitsu in particular. Yeah. Everybody I know that does jiu-jitsu has fucked up backs.
Wow.
They all have fucked up discs because your discs shrink from just getting smushed all the time. Yeah. And they call it disc degeneration disease, but it's not really a disease. It's not like you have tuberculosis.
It's more a wear and tear.
It's just tear,
yeah.
and your disease, your discs shrink. And the problem is, doctors want to just start fusing everything. There's a lot of doctors.
Yeah.
I mean, some doctors are more. They're looking at the body as like a holistic unit, and like let's just keep everything healthy and let's see what we can do. Alternative to surgery to try to help you, but a lot of doctors are like, it's time to cut. And I have friends that have had back surgery, and the moment that they got out of back surgery, other things started going wrong with their back, and then it was like a cascade. It just kept happening, and they've had like 3, 4, 5 back surgeries where they have a bunch of discs that are fused together in their back, so their whole back is like this. They're like a robot, and then they have all sorts of weird problems. Like I have one friend, one of his calves is atrophied because the nerves from the inflammation in his back surgery, it was an issue. It went wrong, and so his fucking calf is not getting the signals. So his calf like shriveled up like a bone. So one of his calves is like a fucking bone.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, it's rat, and he's a big fucking burly dude. And he's like this one bullshit leg. It's crazy.
Well, I'm grateful for. I'm back. I'm surfing. I'm back in the water, and I'm so happy. That's like
awesome.
Pretty gnarly. The whole surgery sucked. I had an amazing surgeon and a really good experience with that, but like it hurt like a bastard. I mean, like horribly sore. Remember that scene in remember Kathy Bates? She was in that really well-known Misery. Remember when he wakes up and she has the sledgehammer?
Yeah.
And she goes whack to his leg. That's what I felt like. That's what my knee felt like. I felt like someone took a sledgehammer to it.
Oh my God.
When I woke up back, like in my buddy's house after surgery, the pain was excruciating. Then they had me in on Percocets, I think, and I got off them as soon as I could, but just I hate pain medication, all that shit. It's just gross. And now I'm like back surfing, my knee's feeling better. I got a really great like a killer
therapist
custom knee brace that I wear surfing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So.
And it doesn't impede your movement?
No, not really.
That's
not at
great.
All. Yeah.
So it's fit to the size of your knee.
Yeah, it's totally customized to the size of my leg, the size of my knee, the bones and everything. So.
Oh, that's great. So you can do stuff while it's healing and it protects it.
Yeah.
That's
and
great.
I wear it hunting and everything. My knee brace.
Awesome.
So I can hunt in, gnarlier terrain and walk up and down steep mountains. And if I fall and eat crap, I don't hurt my knee.
And so like right now, there's no pain in it? Does it feel weaker?
A little bit of weakness, yeah, for sure.
A little bit of weakness?
Yeah, I mean, the size of my thigh went down. Like, I think I lost like an inch of my circumference of my thigh muscle and my leg right there, by about an inch.
Isn't that wild how quick
in the first
happens?
like 3 weeks?
Like immediately,
yeah,
just
it's like your
away.
brain turns off the signal to your muscles. Like, okay, I want to shut this thing off.
Well, that was what was happening to my friend's calf.
Yeah,
it's
weird.
Yeah. But I've had other, like, I don't want to, like, shy people completely away from back surgery. Like, my buddy Eddie Bravo, his back was fucked. He had no disc tissue. There was nothing in between the two. It's just bone on his back. He was excruciating pain all the time. And then they replaced it with a titanium disc. They put an artificial disc, and it works. I mean, he doesn't have any real issues. It was a little sore for a while, and, took a while to rehab it, but it works.
Think of all the shit, all the injuries that we've had and our friends have had that like 50, 60, 80 years ago, you basically would have just been like a cripple for the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah.
And now they're just like, oh, yeah, I'm feeling great. I'm back to snowboarding.
Yeah, you would have no fucking knees.
Yeah. I'm going snowboarding next month. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Why are you doing that again?
Because snowboarding rules. It's amazingly awesome.
I had
my kid is obsessed with it now. And I'm going to take my wife. My wife loves snowboarding. So we're going to go to Colorado and I'm going to just chill. No more trees.
Everybody says that. And
no
then
more
you start
aerials.
having fun. You start fucking coasting and you just,
I'm going to keep my snowboard on the snow. No airs, no cliffs, no trees. I'm going to snowboard with my daughter, Charlie. So
I had a similar accident to what you had, where someone was in front of me and I didn't want to hit them. It was some lady was skiing and she didn't know what she was doing, and she sort of just slid backwards uncontrollably into the trail. And I was coming around the corner. I was like, fuck. And it was either hit this lady and wipe her out or find a way to fall. And so I found a way to, but it was not good because it was kind of icy. And so my skis went out from under me, head first, banged my fucking head on the ground, fucked my leg up, wound up cracking my shin bone.
Wow.
Yeah, and I got a concussion. And I was like delirious all day. I was like, I went to sit on the, the chair comes around. I went to sit on it and I timed it wrong and I just fell down and I couldn't figure out how to get up. Like I was so loopy from being KO'd almost.
Yeah.
I mean, I was awake. I never went out cold, but I was definitely concussed. And so this lady had to like help me get up like a dork. Like I couldn't get up with skis on. I was like struggling and I was holding up the line.
I'm going to keep doing all the stuff I love to do.
I don't love skiing.
I don't care how dangerous it is. I mean, I do to a point, but I don't know. I'm at the point in my life where I'm like, if I like to do it, I'm going to do it.
I get it. I get that. I just have never gotten skiing. Yeah. To me, it's like, don't get hurt, don't get hurt, don't get hurt, don't get hurt. Whew, didn't get hurt. Try it again. And the only reason why I go at all is because my family likes it. My kids love it.
I've been snowboarding for decades and never really had a serious injury at all. Like really not at all.
Well, maybe that one could have been prevented if you just were a little bit more cautious, right?
For sure, 100%. And I'm very chill these days. I'm not. I know it's dangerous, so I snowboard safely.
Have you ever?
You can always get taken out by a big lady sliding into you, though. Like
yeah. Well, she wasn't a big lady. That was part of the problem. She was a small lady. I did not want to kill her.
Right.
I mean, I was coming around the corner, and this lady just was like backwards, like sliding like right into the trail. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, I'm always terrified when you go from one run to the other.
Yes.
That's when you get taken out.
Yes. Yeah. That's why people are sliding down.
Yeah.
And you're like trying to merge. Yeah. I've seen some gnarly ones. But the just injuries like that, man, are like they're wake-up calls. They're of how fragile your body is. Like you don't really pay that much attention to it until something gets injured. And you're like, God, everything is so soft and mushy.
I was listening to a podcast with you and Sanjay Gupta this morning when I was in the gym, and you guys started. I didn't get to that part, but you guys started talking about how you did Taekwondo. Is that right?
Yes.
And then you stopped doing it because of you were fearful about your brain being injured.
There was definitely a lot of head trauma from that, but it was really more when I started kickboxing. That's when I really started thinking about it, because in kickboxing we were sparring a lot, and you're getting hit in the head a lot. And gym fights, there's something that I just pulled up. Jamie, see if you can find this. I think I saved it, but they're essentially saying that gym trauma, like trauma from getting punched. Oh, go to the UG on Instagram. There was an article, and I think they linked to the article, but they're saying that as much as 10 times the damage you get from fights, guys are getting from the gym. So the amount of, yeah.
From the gym.
Because they spar so hard in the gym, and you're doing it all the time. Like, there's a lot of guys, and I grew up at a time where people were not aware of CTE like they are now. They thought people had brain damage if they were punch drunk, but they really thought it was after you got knocked out too many times. They didn't realize that it's just from accumulation of subconcussive blows. So there it is. This is a study. A new study finding MMA fighters take 10 times more head trauma in training compared to fights. 10 times. So think about all these fights that you see where people are in these crazy wild wars. And now imagine that they get 10 times more of that trauma in the gym. There's Cub Swanson just fucking winding up. Yeah.
So did you have like some brain injuries that you were spooked by, and that's why, or you just were like, hey, this is like sketchy going forward. I need to like mellow out on this stuff.
I had a lot of headaches, bad headaches after sparring. Like I remember one time I was lying in bed. There's this guy that I used to spar with all the time who it's kind of he's a crazy story. I knew him when he was younger. And we were both like the same age, and then he went to jail. And then 4 or 5 years later, he got out of jail, and he was like a totally different person. He got out of jail. He was like really jacked, and then just super wild, like like crazy. And he was telling me stories of jail, like having to fight guys and fight guys. Like he got a mop stick and took on 3 guys with like a mop handle, and like it's like he
need to get him on the podcast.
He's dead.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, he's like, dude, I was fighting for my fucking life. It was crazy, but he had become like feral while he was in prison. He was a different guy. And when we would spar, we were going to war.
Dude, prison's like a jungle. You know what I mean? Like,
well, he was also in prison for like heavy shit, like selling drugs and having guns, and it was heavy duty stuff. And when we would spar, and he was like a training partner that I sparred with a lot. We would not spar like it was like touching each other. Like you're supposed to spar light.
Yeah.
We went full blast all the time. And I would be lying in bed sometimes. I remember very specifically this one time, I was lying in bed. I was broke. I was like 20 years old. And I'm lying in bed. My head's pounding. Just boom, boom, boom. And I don't have any money. I don't have any health insurance. I don't know what my future is. I'm like, what am I doing with my life?
Right.
And I'm like, I am here getting fucking brain damage. This is definitely going to give me brain damage. I'm like, my head is killing me. And it's just from being punched in the head. And
That's scary.
I
that
think
is really scary.
All the years of sparring, like how many times I got hit in the head, and it was starting to. I'm like, what if one day I'm gone? Like now I become this brain damage guy. Because there was guys that I knew from the gym that I knew them years ago, and they were one way, and now I know them, and they're like slurring their words.
Yeah, and I feel like there's like this kind of slow buildup where you don't notice it, and then all of a sudden it's too late. It's like a slippery slope.
Yeah, for sure.
The reason I was asking you about that is because when I was listening about it this morning, I was thinking about I've had a lot of radical concussions from surfing, and I had about 5 of them within like a 4-year period.
Really?
And they become successively easier to get. Like I became more fragile and more prone to concussions as time went on. I was surfing big waves. So I was eating shit off like 50-foot waves, falling, 30, 40 feet, 50 feet onto moving water that's moving super fast. It feels like you're falling onto concrete. And I was getting really horrible concussions where I was throwing up and like nauseous for 48 hours and like just really bad situations. And I never really equated it to brain injury. I don't know. I just didn't really know I didn't really know that concussions were bad for you. I just figured they were bad. They were like sore and they're painful and they're horribly, they sucked when you're going through it, but then it was no big deal. And then about 2 years ago, I was on a boat trip and I met this guy, Fred, who's from California, and we started chatting about what we do. And he owns the brain treatment center in California. And he's like, this is what I do. I have this brain treatment center. And he's like, next time you're in California, you should come by and get an EEG, like get a reading of your brain, and then you can just see what it looks like after all these concussions you're telling me about. And so next time I was in California, I did that. I got an EEG, and then it was really cool. Like one of the scientists from the company, we did a rad Zoom call, and so he took me through my whole, like my scan report with all the data and all the charts and what it meant. And it was so surreal. He was telling me, I'd never met this guy in my life, this guy named Spencer, and he goes, he was telling me specifically about myself, about stuff that was so detailed and so nuanced about my personality type and who I was that it was stuff my wife probably wouldn't even know. It was that.
He could read that from your brain scan?
He goes, you're like this. Like your thought processes, like your strengths and how your brain works. And here's where like you for sure have all these like really detailed things about like if I study a lot or read a lot, I get super exhausted. At the time, I was getting like crazy exhausted, like brain fatigue and like, like I love to read. When I read, I get like horribly tired and fall asleep right away. I couldn't read. And I had a lot of like ADHD style like symptoms, like, brain fog, like mental clarity issues, forgetfulness, like leaving things, just being a space case, but like kind of really extreme. And I felt like it was getting worse as I got older. And so the next time I was in San Diego, I went to the clinic and I got this like a week's worth of brain treatments. Have you ever done brain treatment?
No.
It was a trip.
So the San Diego, is that the place where they use magnets?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my friend Kat Zingano went there. She's a fighter for the UFC.
Yeah.
She had this wild fight with Amanda Nunes, and she won the fight. She stopped Amanda, but in the first round, she took so much trauma that it fucked up the cortisol levels of her brain. Her hormones were all out of whack. She was gaining weight. She was depressed, and her body wouldn't move right. Like her coordination was all fucked up, and she got all of her movement back from this magnetic training. Yeah, I know they do it with a lot of soldiers as well.
Yeah, so I guess the reason I was telling you about mine is because my experience has been super good. It's helped me a ton. Yeah.
What was the effect of it?
So I had a week's worth of in-clinic brain treatments, which were I think they were 45 minutes long each time. I did a week's worth of that every morning in San Diego. And then they sent me an in-home unit that I did for 30 days. It was really cool. So based off my EEG, my brain scan, they do it's almost like I'm doing those invisible teeth aligners right now, braces.
Invisalign, yeah.
Yeah, so when they do that, they scan your teeth, they show you what your teeth look like now, and they show you what your teeth are going to look like in a year or 6 months or whatever it is, and week by week it gets closer to this finished product. It was kind of similar to that. They go, here's your brain, here's what it looks like, and basically the back of your brain, the middle of your brain, and the front of your brain, I don't know this stuff very well, right? But they are 3 separate parts, but they work as one. And you really want that alignment. You want the back, the middle, and the front to have alignment. All the energy and how you process information is all fucked up if the signals are crossed. Right. And if your brain's not aligned, back, middle, and front, you're going to have issues, major issues. So in mine, the back was fine, the middle was pretty good, but the front, it was completely off. And this, you want to see basically on the chart, you want to see this mountain range, all in the middle. In one
mountain
real
range.
Steep, like a chart.
And what is it representing? Is it representing brain function?
Brain function, yeah, and how you process information. And so they were like, look, here's where your problem is. It's in the front of your brain and a little bit in the middle. And over all these treatments, it's going to be toward here's where you are now. Here's where your brain would be optimum. And it's like my brain. It wasn't here's the optimum brain. It's it's showing me my teeth all jacked up and where my teeth are going to be in 6 months when it's finished. Oh. And so they use this personalized, artificial intelligence reads through hundreds of thousands of brain scans that they have. So it's if I have a certain type of brain, they have an optimum, artificial intelligence basically spits out a program for my brain. So I had a USB. So they sent me this really cool in-home machine and a little USB drive with my brain data on it. So I click it in, I turn it on, I put the thing on for 30 minutes. And after 30 days, after the first, I should say this, after the first week and the in-clinic stuff, I was 17% closer to the finished brain.
Wow.
Yeah, and I could see it. That how I said it was the brain activity on the chart from the scan. It should be all 3, the front, middle, and back should have a steep, a mountain range in the middle. And my front was dull and short and off to the side. And after 1 week, I was 17% closer to where my brain would be when it was totally optimized and perfect.
In a perfect world, how often would you do it?
Well, your brain is interesting because it's not like a muscle. Say I started doing curls with 30-pound dumbbells every day and my muscles got jacked after 6 months. And then I put those things down and never did it again. My arms just go back to normal, right? Your brain's not like that. Your brain, once you, say you have a perfect brain and you get punched in the head by Usman 100,000 times and then your brain's all beat up. That's going to stay beat up until you change it. So if you have brain treatment and it works really well, it pulls your brain back in a more optimized type of situation. And so for me, once my brain, after the 30 days, my brain was in a lot better shape. Everything was aligned. And first thing I noticed is I had a whole lot more energy in the afternoons. I used to have to drink an energy drink or whatever it was. I needed some sort of boost in the afternoon to stay super sharp. And then I immediately had more energy. I would get less brain fatigue from reading or doing research or and then I was more clear, more mental clarity. I just felt way sharper. It's cool.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's so cool that they have that now because for the longest time, there was no real treatments.
Yeah.
My good friend, Dr. Mark Gordon, he works with the Warrior Angel Foundation, which works with soldiers that have had traumatic brain injuries. And he's a TBI expert. And he says that people can get TBI from a lot of things that you would assume are innocuous. One of them, he said, is jet skis. And I go, really? He goes, yeah, man. He goes, this thing where you go, bang, bang, bang. He goes, every time you're doing that, where you're riding waves and bouncing up and down, he's like, your brain is sloshing around inside your head. I go, no way. That can give you brain. He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, soccer? He goes, when you're headbutting that ball, that can give you CBI or TBI?
You would never think with surfing.
No.
I never thought that. And then I'm really good friends with a bunch of big wave surfers, and a lot of them were starting to have brain issues. Oh. Really bad. Because you're having these huge wipeouts where you're falling, like free falling for stories, right? And then you get smashed and the wave rattles the shit out of you, like really crazy. And your brain is like inside of fluid inside of your skull, and it's just like rattling back and forth like crazy. And
what was the gentleman's name that came in, the big giant football player guy with the iron neck? Is it Mike Jolly?
Sounds right.
He developed this piece of equipment called the iron neck to strengthen your neck that will help prevent a lot of brain injury, because a lot of brain injury is having a weak neck and your head just gets fucking whipped around. And so he has this. Do you know what an iron neck is?
I don't.
It's like a halo that you put on and you tighten it down, and then it has a bungee cord on the back of it. So you pull against the bungee cord, and then you rotate your neck back and forth, and you can adjust the tension on how hard. Look, I have a video. I'll show this to you, Jamie. This is a video of what it looks like when you're doing it. I'm going to send this to you, Jamie.
I was watching. How good was this?
Here, Jamie, I sent you a video. Oh, there's one.
Oh,
there's a video.
Wow,
Perfect.
what a trip.
So he was a football player. He played in the NFL, and so he developed this thing. And so you back up on this bungee cord, and then you turn, like he was teaching me how to do it there, and then you keep your shoulders straight, and you turn your head side to side. And I don't know if you could see the difference in my neck then and now, but my neck is way stronger now.
Your neck is stronger.
Oh, my God. It's bigger. I sent you a video. Like, the video is me using it the other day. My neck is way stronger now because I do it all the time. So I've got all this meat now, like in my neck that I never had before. Like for jiu-jitsu, it's gigantic. So this is what it looks like now. You can see.
Dude,
like,
you're jacked.
My neck is way bigger than it ever was before.
Good luck getting a suit, like a shirt that's going to fit.
No, I wear custom suits. I have them made for this fucking
that neck.
Chimp body. Yeah, look at my neck. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it
look
is
at how much
crazy.
bigger it is. You could see in that old video versus now how much bigger my neck is. It's way bigger. So I'm doing this at least once a week, usually twice a week. And I have a series of exercises that I do.
Oh, it's working. I can tell you that.
Yeah, it works, man.
It's working.
But for jiu-jitsu, it's gigantic. To have a strong neck is gigantic. But for anything, I think when your head gets whipped around, like my head is not going to get whipped around like that. It's like it's stabilized more. Yeah. It protects you.
Well,
so for
I'll
fighters,
throw you over the falls on an 80-foot wave and see how that
that's not going to help. That amount of force, when I watch you go down these crazy waves and I see like what's behind you, it's so terrifying. Just the idea that can come smashing down on your head at any moment.
And it does. It not only might come down on you, it does. Like it's only a matter of time. It's going to happen for sure. So
fuck.
It's something that you have to train for and expect. You know.
When it hits you, what is the protocol? Like, what are you supposed to do when you get hit?
Well, I mean, it's more like before. It's like when you get hit.
When you know it's happening. When you know, like, the wave is about to collapse on you, like, what do you do?
I mean, you execute your plan that you have. Like for me, it was more, and I don't do as much big wave stuff as I once did. 49 now and trying to mellow out. I still love big waves, but it was my life for a while, and at the time I was training like a madman, like super physically fit, working out 6 days a week, super high, like crazy intense. And I was working with like breath coaches to do like breath work and stuff. So as soon as I would paddle into the lineup when I was surfing big waves, I was breathing to where I was oxygenating my lungs. Did I say that right? And so you basically try to get as much air into your lungs as possible when you know you're about to eat shit or go under a really huge wave. And then it's just a matter of like holding your breath.
So you just take a giant deep breath before you go under?
Like crazy, and you stuff your lungs and everywhere else as much as you can. You pack your lungs with as much air as you can, as much oxygen as you can.
Oh my God, Shane Dorian, what the fuck? Jesus Christ, that's scary.
And that's me eating shit.
Wow, but look at this.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so wild, dude. And when you eat shit that hard, and it comes down on you that hard, like how much time does it take before you can get up to the surface?
It really depends. I mean, in a really bad situation, I had one wipeout off the coast of Northern California in Half Moon Bay at this wave called Mavericks, where this chick was on a boat filming, and she filmed me eating shit, much like that. And I was underwater. She was filming my board, and it was tombstoning, meaning she could only see the top half of my surfboard. The bottom half was underwater, and I was at the end of like a 15-foot leash to my surfboard. So my board is about 10 and a half feet long. My leash was 15 feet long, and then I was at the very bottom of that leash.
Oh,
and I was underwater for a minute and about 8 seconds. A long time. It doesn't sound like that long, right?
Fucking sounds like a long ass time.
But I did a lot of breath training, or I didn't do a lot of breath training, but I did some breath training, and like basically your static breath hold, like whatever you can do in a pool with a calm heart rate, like you can basically under pressure, like if your heart rate's going crazy, you can hold your breath for a quarter of your static breath hold.
Oh my God.
So like when I did my static, isn't that scary?
It's terrifying.
But it's powerful because if you know that you have, say hypothetically, you have a 4-minute breath hold, static, then that means under pressure, like in a situation like that, where your heart rate's really high and you're getting the shit kicked out of you, you should be able to hold your breath for 1 minute and survive.
Yeah, but I can't hold my breath for 4 minutes. I think when we did that thing with
how long
David
do you think
Blaine,
you can do it?
How long did I hold my breath?
We didn't finish it, but you did it quite a long time. And he was about to teach us how to do it longer, but we didn't get that far.
They can teach you how to do it
Well, I did
longer.
it longer than everybody else,
Yeah.
but I still didn't think it was that long.
Over 2 minutes, I think.
Yeah, but that's not that
But
long.
I don't think it was 4, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like 2.5 minutes. But Vasily Lomachenko, one of the things he does for every fight is he tries to make his ability to hold his breath longer. And for this last one, he got to 4 minutes and 30 seconds, which is like 2 seconds longer than his
Those are
previous
rookie
record.
numbers.
I would imagine for like a free surfer or a free diver, right?
It's got to be so good for him, right? It's a huge advantage. That lung capacity is massive with fighting.
Yes, for sure.
But
And
I mean,
I think he does it also just for mental toughness, just like to build, just the ability to steel his mind and just fucking, just
a lot of it is
deal.
just being like, for me, it was great because I had that, like if you don't know that, if you don't know the science behind holding your breath for a long time under pressure with a high heart rate, then you just go into these wipeouts like, fuck, I hope I survive. I need to hold my breath. And when you have that hope type of mindset, then your heart rate goes higher and you start burning more oxygen.
Right.
But if you don't have that hope, if that's not a part of your mindset and you're just like, shit, I've done the training, I know how long I can hold my breath with a high heart rate. And knowing that number and knowing that you're pretty much never going to be held underwater for that long. Like I could hold my breath. The longest I held my breath during the breath training thing that I did was 5 minutes and 34 seconds.
Well, hope is not a good thing for any skill.
No.
Like I hope the ball goes in the net. It's not going in. I hope I make this shot. I'm not making the shot. Like in archery, like you can't hope you hit the vitals. You have to know you're going to hit the vitals. When you release that arrow, you have to have fucking hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of training.
If you're hoping,
Yeah,
you're toast.
you're hoping you're fucked.
Yeah.
You're fucked.
And it's like that with big waves. So for me, I was like, hey, I can hold my breath for 5 minutes and 34 seconds. And so I can, so 25% of that, I can do that with a high heart rate. So
That's your record is 5:34?
Yeah.
When those free divers get to like 7-8 minutes, like what are they doing different? They just...
Well, and I only did 1 3-day course of like breath training or 4-day course. So they teach you the science behind breath holding, and then they help you with like things to think about to get your static higher and higher and higher.
Well, give us the cliff notes. Like what are they...
Essentially, they have you hold your breath right at the start, see how you know what your static breath hold is, and then they teach you how to hold it for longer. And so it's almost like meditation. Like for me, like the you basically you don't think of time, you don't count the seconds, you think about things that have like for me, it was like, they were like, hey, think about something that's super detailed and go through that process while you're holding your breath. So I was in the pool and a guy's timing me and I'm in a wetsuit and I go underwater and I packed my bags to go hunting on Lanai. Oh. Yeah. So I was like, hey, so I started holding my breath, I went underwater and I was like, hey, what do I need for my hunting trip on Lanai? I need how many arrows do I need? 3 dozen. And then I was like, okay, I get my broadheads, then I gotta get my boots. Okay, now I gotta get my waterproof boots, and I need to get my like sneaking shoes. Okay, what socks do I need? Like super detailed, super boring stuff that you know really well. And I went through that whole packing thing, and then I like literally I got in my truck in my mind, drove down to the airport, got on the plane, flew there, got off the plane. It was like all this stuff was happening. And then I didn't know how much time had passed. And then you know, you have that involuntary urge to breathe. You know, have you ever held your breath for a long time and all of a sudden you go,
yeah,
your stomach starts doing this thing where it's like telling your brain, you need to breathe now or else you're going to die. It's not true. So when you do these breath holding classes, it's really neat because they tell you like, when that urge to breathe, that tells you need to breathe right now or you're going to black out or die or whatever it is, especially if you're underwater. It's really scary, right? And so they teach you to go, okay, you need to hold through these big contractions. And so like these contractions are happening and you're not paying attention to them when you're like in this meditative type of mindset. And that's how you can hold your breath for a super long time.
So when you go through them, does it ever get easier when you hit those things?
Yeah.
Or is it just something you learn how to deal with?
It's super uncomfortable, right? And so you learn to deal with it. You learn to go, okay, this is totally normal. I know I can hold through multiple minutes of these contractions.
This urge.
Yeah. So then you end up like not even paying attention to them.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's
but
still
you need to
uncomfortable,
at the end because you get really like spacey and relaxed, like super in this meditative state to where like at the end because they start speeding up. Those contractions start speeding up, and when they get to a certain, you know, when they start happening fast enough, you black out. So when I was doing this underwater training, you know, you do it with a partner. There's a guy watching you all the time, so you don't have a shallow water blackout and you don't drown.
Jesus.
Yeah, but it was great because when I would go surfing after that, I was like, shit, I can hold my breath for like I forget what it was, like 1 minute and 45 seconds under pressure, and they tested you. They'd have they would make you do squats or run in the field and then run back and do squats with your eyes closed, and then someone would push you as fast as they could from the back. And so you try to get that air, like you'd be doing squats with your eyes closed. You never knew when they were going to push you. And they would push you. And then as you were falling into the pool, in 1 second, you had to try and get as much air as you could. It was very similar to wipeout surfing. So from the moment that you realized you were going in, you had to go as fast as you could. And then as soon as you hit the water, there was 2 divers in the water. They would hold you underwater and like spin you around like you're in a washing machine.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And then they would let you go. And then right before you got to the surface, they'd pull you back down and pull you back down. And they had watches. So they would be like, okay, Shane can hold his breath for 1 minute and 45 seconds under stress. And so they would do it until you blacked out.
And did you
And
black
they'd bring
out?
you up. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
A couple different times.
Fuck that.
Yeah, it was horrible. And I felt like I had like concussion type symptoms after it. So for 2 days we did this kind of training, and every single night I went home and like threw up and
maybe
felt
you were getting
gross.
concussions.
Yeah, but it was worth it.
Because I would imagine.
Yeah, it was
like,
great training.
The knowledge,
It made me more
confidence.
confident, made me stronger, and it helped me feel safer surfing big waves. So
I would imagine for someone that does what you do, that's a prerequisite. Like you have to have that ability to hold your breath that long.
there's some guys that do what I do, and they just roll up on the boat or roll up on the cliff and check the surf. Oh, it's 60 feet. And they're like, I'm out there, spark of dirt, just start smoking a cigarette.
Really?
Oh, there, dude. Yeah. I mean, some of them don't train at all, smoke cigarettes, like have big nights right before surfing. And you really, at that point, you're hoping for the best. You know, you're playing with fire.
Yeah, what happens when one of those guys gets sucked under?
Yeah. And there's been a bunch of guys who died that I've known, you know, really close friends who passed away surfing big waves. So it's nothing to mess with.
Have you known anybody that got bit by a shark?
Yes.
How many
I have.
guys?
One of my friends got bit by a shark less than a week ago. Yeah.
How is he?
He was almost positive it was a great white shark.
Oh, Jesus.
And how's this? It was in Hawaii.
Really?
It was at my home break.
That's crazy.
Banyans in Kona on the Big Island.
Isn't that rare?
They had been seeing a great white for 3 weeks in that area. A lot of they have like manta ray boats and dolphin boats and like whale watching boats that go out. And I'm buddies with some of these guys, and they've been seeing a great white. They've been filming it on the surface. This big like a 12 great white. And this guy, his name is Jared Williford. And he's a crazy fisherman. He catches like full-size, massive blue marlin off the coast of Kona in his kayak. He's like a dude with the dreads. He's like real stony baloney.
What? How does he catch him off a kayak?
He catches him with his fishing pole of kayak, like he's on a boat, but he just goes with his kayak. And he'll get he'll hook up with a marlin or a big tuna, and it'll pull him miles out to sea on his kayak. I've had multiple friends who fish for a living are like, dude, I saw Jared with a marlin on his kayak. I'm dead serious. He's crazy.
That's
anyway,
so wild.
So he had a run-in with a great white like a couple weeks before, and he was like telling guys at the beach, I had a run-in with a great white when I was on my kayak, and everyone, just figured he was full of shit. Like, it's no way. And then next thing you know, and it's on the, I should pull it up on my phone, but so there's webcams at a lot of these surf breaks now. And at my home break at Banyans, there's a webcam now. It's a Surfline webcam. So 24 hours a day, there's a camera. And so his attack is on camera. Yeah. Yeah, this is it.
Whoa. Video of surfer being attacked and dragged underwater by shark at Banyans on Hawaii's Big Island. Wham. Nails him right there. He's down. Now he's going to pop up and swim to that guy.
Yeah. So there's a video. This is the video right here.
Oh, play this. Sweet baby Jesus.
This is where I grew up surfing. I don't know.
Where's the video?
There it is. Click on that. So this is my
Go
home
full
break
screen.
where I've been surfing this since I was 5 years old.
That's that. Now, right after this wave, you'll see it comes and wham, nails him right
He's
there.
underwater.
He's down. Now he's going to pop up right there. Whoop. And swim to that guy. Whoa.
So that was a girl next to him.
Whoa.
A girl was paddling out next to him. Shark comes up, grabs him, takes him underwater, and he comes up and hangs onto that girl's surfboard. His board's gone.
Oh, my God.
You can see the size of the shark's huge, too.
You don't see it much. You don't.
No, you see the fin, though, come up.
So it grabbed the board and him, and how badly did he get bit?
It shredded his forearm pretty much completely.
Oh my God!
And so my wife was just the other day. My wife was talking to the girl who was there in that video, who was next to him. So shark comes up, just nails him, takes him underwater, and she's just sitting there like, holy shit, this guy's toast. He's dead for sure. And she was thinking she was dead too. And then all of a sudden he pops up right next to her. And the shark's still right there, and she said it was moving like crazy slow, like a big, slow submarine. You know how scary that is?
Oh
and it's shallow there. It's like 4 feet deep where they were. This massive tank of a shark is in 4 feet of water.
And just sucked him under. And it shredded his arm.
It didn't suck him under, dude. It grabbed him with his freaking jaws and pulled him under.
And did he get his arm fixed?
Yeah, so he is still in the ICU, or he's still in the hospital.
Wow.
Still. And so I haven't talked to him personally, but it shredded his arm like horribly bad. I think he might have lost function in some of his fingers. And anyway, this girl who was right next to him, so his board is gone, and he was gushing blood like crazy, like hemorrhaging blood. And so she was on top of her board paddling. He swam under her board and held onto her board, and she tried to paddle him to the beach. She took off her leash, which is like, your leash to your board cord, and wrapped it super tightly around his arm as a tourniquet, and fully saved his life. And then when he was on the way in, another guy swam out and did another tourniquet on his arm and saved his life. But I guess he lost tons and tons of blood.
The guy's lucky.
Yeah, extremely lucky.
Unlucky and lucky at the same time.
Could have been so much worse.
Have you ever had an encounter?
I have. I've had encounters. I've seen a bunch of sharks and seen some big sharks.
What a wild creature, right? Just the cleanup crew of the ocean.
They're terrifying. The heavy thing is, like, if you have a run-in with a great white shark, there's a really good chance that they're not going to eat you, right? They chill a lot of times. But if they're hungry, if they haven't eaten I don't know, how often do great whites eat, Jamie?
Let's guess. I say they have to eat once a week.
Yeah, I'd say 4 days maybe. Let's see.
Dun dun dun.
Dun 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 dun.
What pops
dun,
up? It says the amount of energy required by great white sharks was equivalent to eating a seal pup every 3 days.
Oh.
Yeah, so if you run into a white shark and it sees you, it's not going to eat unless it's really hungry. But if it's starving, you're toast. That's it. Bad luck.
Yeah, I mean, they eat shoes sometimes. They eat all kinds of things.
Yeah, especially like by my house, there's a lot of tiger sharks, and tiger sharks are like they bite first, ask questions later. They'll fish out a tiger shark and cut its stomach open. There's like license plates and shoes and shit, like a lot of stuff.
So they're just more aggressive.
Yeah, they're more aggressive. They'll just bite anything.
They need according to this research, they need about 66 pounds of blubber to survive for no more than 15 days.
Wow.
So I'm trying to do the math in my head for like 2 weeks.
That's a lot.
30 pounds a week.
So if he's really hungry, he might just eat you. But even if he just bites you, you're probably dead.
Yeah.
Like your guy got lucky.
Yeah, my friend was incredibly lucky.
I mean, unlucky and lucky at the same time.
Yeah.
So when you've had encounters, have they swam up to you? Like,
swam under me. A bunch of times I was like right before I was going over a wave, and I would see them in the wave. You know, because a lot of times if they're underwater next to you, most likely you're not going to see them because of the glare, because of the angle. Yeah, so that was the great white that had been in Kona, like where I live. That's a proper great white shark right there, and they think that's the shark that hit him.
wow. So this one shark is just rare?
Yeah. Well, in Hawaii, great whites, no one really, like a long time ago, people didn't think that white sharks were in Hawaii because the water was too warm.
But why do they think that it's this shark that bit him is great white? Why do they think that?
Well, because this shark was in that area for about 2 or 3 weeks, like beforehand, and he had a run-in with that shark. He's seen multiple. He's had a lot of run-ins with sharks because he fishes off a kayak, so he's always racing the sharks with his fish to his kayak.
Because the fish will.
And he said the shark that bit him had a super pointy nose. It was massive and had a super pointy nose, which, like, the only other like man-eating shark where we live is a tiger shark, and they have a really blunt snout, where like a great white has a super pointy. It's really difficult to kind of get that confused.
They've been finding a lot of them off the coast of California, apparently.
Yeah, there's so many.
Yeah, more than they ever thought.
But California's cold and Hawaii's warm, so great white sticks out like dog's balls where I live.
Like, why is it there?
I don't know.
Can we blame people? Can we blame plastic straws or something? How many fucking masks are making their way into the ocean? I was thinking about that the other day. Because, like, if plastic straws are a problem in the ocean, people are throwing those goddamn masks out everywhere. I see masks everywhere I go. I see them floating around.
It's messed up.
Just laying in the gutter, laying in front of garbage cans. They're in the ocean, guaranteed. How many masks have
millions
been tossed?
and millions.
I got a statistic for you. You want to guess?
It's
Okay,
a
let
messed
me
up
guess.
statistic for sure.
Let me guess. I'm going to say... is this statistic about the ocean in particular?
How many disposable masks entered the ocean in 2020?
2 billion.
Yeah, you're a little high. 1.6 estimate.
Wow. I thought it was way off. I was just getting crazy. I thought you were going to say 5 million.
No, they said out of 52 billion produced disposable face masks, 1.6 made it into the ocean.
Holy shit.
The
that's
pandemic
a lot.
is producing an epidemic of masks going into the oceans.
That's
fucked
a
up.
lot of fucking masks.
It's fucked up. It's
Yeah.
really messed up.
And I don't even know if they work. I mean, maybe they stop spittle from getting into someone, but
They don't. We know it. They don't work, dude.
I don't think they do.
They don't work.
How
They
can
work.
they? If you can get your fingers in the side of it and air's
Yeah.
coming out. You ever seen that doctor that vapes and then he puts the mask on to show you they don't work?
I've seen the video.
It's wild.
All right, this is almost crazier. Styrofoam cup takes 50 years to biodegrade. How long do you think a mask takes?
150.
450.
Oh,
Oh
jeez.
my God.
It's messed up to think that.
Masks are like the Democrats' MAGA hat.
And we do it to make each other feel better.
Yeah, but that makes sense to me. that you wear it because it makes people feel comfortable. And I know it's illogical, and I'm fine wearing it if it relaxes people and it makes them feel better. But if people want to actually argue that they do something, it just doesn't make any sense, man. It doesn't make any sense. Like, there's a great meme.
Oh, memes.
Yeah, I'm such a fan of memes. But this is a very funny one about that. Because I just feel like it's one of those things where we accepted it early on, and now we're just pretending that it's somehow or another protective. But at the end of the day, it's really just a piece of paper over your mouth, and you're breathing perfectly through it. So, like, how does that work? Here, Jamie.
I remember some of those scientists saying that the mask really was a reminder to wash your hands, be cleaner, stay 6 feet apart. It was more of like it was supposed to intended to be a mental reminder that we're in a pandemic.
That makes kind of sense, but the washing the hand thing is nonsense. This is my favorite. Tell me more about how a virus can escape from a level 4 biolab but can't get past a mask with little duckies on it. It's Gene Wilder from Willy Wonka. Memes are the best.
Memes are the best.
It's a new form of comedy.
Yeah.
That didn't exist before the internet came around. I'm very happy with the memes. I'm a big meme fan. You know, a lot of memes are made by like troll farms and shit, like to politically engage in arguments.
That stuff is so fascinating to me. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you talk about this a lot on the podcast, but like how everything is politicized and it's just a lot of weird shit.
And how many of the people that are politicized and how many people that are engaging like aren't even real people. They're employees of some troll farm in Macedonia or something.
With a strategy.
Just so many times where I'll look at, I don't post on Twitter very often, very, very rarely I post, but I'll read things sometimes. And when people are arguing about stuff, sometimes I'll read someone's comment. I'm like, that's just a crazy thing to say. And then you look at their Twitter name, you're like, it has a bunch of numbers at the end of it. And you're like, what is this? And then I click on them and they were like 1 follower. And they've been around for like 6 months. And then I look and it's all politically charged things and arguing with people. I'm like, that's probably not even a real person. It's either a burner account or this is like some person in a troll farm. And it's straight. If I knew for a fact it was someone that's working in a troll farm, I'd be fascinated. I'd be like, look, there's one right there. That's like a little intruder, a little faker, a little virus, a little human virus.
A lot of these probably are fake. Just not fake, but created by not a human person.
Wow, that's
AI
crazy.
generates absurdist memes that are funnier than what most real humans create. Wow.
So the guy runs this website that does harnesses memes and curates them or whatever. I don't know if he created or if he got a hold of it, an AI program that takes 100 million public meme captions and recreates new ones based off of the top 48 templates.
Wow.
Like here's some examples of like ones that were created.
Coronavirus, everyone else, coronavirus, what?
I mean, this is just like a popular, these are the templates. And
right.
It's just filling in the words.
Right.
And some of them stick, some of them don't. If it tries
a
million times a day, it'll win.
Oh, so it's like the Million Monkeys?
Yeah.
Typing.
Thing.
Yeah.
It's fascinating that like those troll farms you're talking about, it could be like a political situation. Like say it's like some like political candidates thing, we need this troll farm. It could be that, or it could be like who knows, some huge corporation in America. And then it also could be like Russia or like North Korea or some crazy thing, which is super weird that they're interested in our politics.
Yeah, they're interested in our politics, and also we're interested in our politics. So I guarantee you that political parties hire people to create memes and to go on and argue about things and to pretend that they're lunatic right-wing people or pretend that they're lunatic left-wing people to upset the people that are on the right or the left, with their crazy fake posts. And they do it just to rile people up and get people arguing. There's just so many of them. And it just makes sense. It's like, you remember those Nigerian scammers? You have won $1 million. All you have to do is contact us and give us your bank account number so that we can deposit the money. Then they clean out your bank account. Like, that's the same. It's basically the same kind of deals. Like, they found a loophole. They found some weird thing that can allow them to do something. It's just what's the motivation behind it? That's the question. It's like, why would they do that? Well, if you're from Russia or from another country that's an enemy of the United States, they're basically just trying to fuck with democracy. They're trying to lessen our confidence in how things work.
And undermine.
Yeah,
what's
undermine
happening.
everything that we do.
Yeah.
And it's doing it.
It's working, for sure.
It's great. They're doing an awesome job. Congratulations.
Yeah. That strategy is working. Like,
We're so vulnerable. We're
It's
so
great.
vulnerable because we're so politically polarized.
well, and if you, like, you know, in the past, if I didn't agree with what you were saying or what you believed, we would still be friends. Mm-hmm. You know, these days, if I don't totally agree with everything that you say and everything you post on Instagram, then you're a bad guy. I can't be friends with you anymore.
Yeah,
I have friends like that are like, because we don't have the same beliefs,
Yeah, those people are idiots.
we're not friends anymore.
I don't.
That's really
I
messed
won't
up.
subscribe to that. Those people can eat shit.
Yeah, I agree.
I have a lot of friends that I don't agree with. That's fine.
That's
I don't
totally
have
cool.
To agree with you.
Yeah,
You just have to be a
everybody's
nice
different,
person.
man.
You just have to be a nice person, be a good person, and be able to articulate your interests. Or
feel like-
articulate what your opinions are on things, and we can talk.
And have a conversation, and at
Yeah.
the end, if I don't talk you into what I believe, that's fine, man. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
yes.
Like, that's got to be fine. I feel like we have this momentum towards, if we don't agree, then something's wrong. Nothing's wrong.
Well,
We just
everyone's
have
tribal.
different beliefs.
This is a weird time where everyone feels like they have to have allegiance to their tribe, and they have to be like steadfast in their set of belief
Yeah.
systems in order to be accepted by the tribe. It's fucking dumb, man. It's dumb and it's confusing, and I don't see it get any better. I don't see it getting any better in our lifetime. I think this is just how people are going to be from now on.
Do you think it's a trend that's just going to continue getting more?
It's going to get worse.
I feel like it's accelerating.
Yeah, it's accelerating. Yeah. It's accelerating, and it applies to everything. It applies to sexual orientation, gender, politics, the way you feel about the environment, climate change, trans kids in sports, like everything. Everything's politicized, and everything's polarized, and everybody has these predetermined belief systems that they adopt. If you're a right winger or you're a left winger, you just like adopt this pattern of thinking. That I'm on the left, so I have to be all for free and available abortion, and I want gun regulation, and I want this, and I want that, and you know,
Ticks every box on your side.
and contradictory things too. This is where it gets really weird. Like voter ID is racist. It's racist to
crazy.
require someone to have a voter ID to register to vote, but you have to have an ID because you need to have a vaccination. So in order to use any facilities, you need to be vaccinated. And if you're going to be vaccinated, I need to have an ID, and you have to have a vax card, and that's okay. But that is like, if you want to think about what's racist and not racist, if you look at the statistics, there's a large percentage of African Americans that are not vaccinated.
Yeah.
And they don't want it, and they don't trust it, and there's good reason historically.
Yeah.
If you look at like the
Government's done a
Tuskegee
lot of
experiment,
fucked up shit.
yeah,
The African American community.
especially the Tuskegee experiment. That one's the worst. When they had these people with syphilis and they didn't treat them, they pretended they were treating them. They just wanted to see what happens if syphilis goes untreated. And they did that from 1930 something to 1970 something. And while they were doing it, in the middle of doing it, the fucking cure for syphilis came out. So all those people could have been cured easily. They had penicillin, and they chose not
That
to
is
give
so
it to
messed
them.
up.
And they did it willingly.
Yeah.
And that's the fucking CDC, by the way. That's the CDC did that. It's crazy. Crazy.
That's hard to believe in this day and age. You know what I mean? Like looking back at that and go, that was real.
Bro, they did it for almost 40 years.
And the agenda's different now, right? Like I feel like it's so like that whole like. It was funny because I almost texted you the other day to see where that Ghislaine, is that her name?
Yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell.
I was going to ask you where, if you knew somewhere where I could get updated, because I was fascinated with that trial.
Yeah.
Like I really wanted to get like updated, like unbiased news about what was happening, like what was, being talked about, like, what was not able to be talked about and what was, and, what kind of information was going to come out. And I could not find it. And then like that Lance Rittenhouse trial, I couldn't not find it.
Kyle Rittenhouse, yeah.
Kyle Rittenhouse. I couldn't look at anything without that coming up. It was insane.
Right.
It was like that.
That was everywhere.
Yeah, the Rittenhouse trial had the best marketing team in history. Seriously.
Well, the
it was
Rittenhouse
crazy.
trial was public, right? So you could see his testimony.
But it was public for a reason.
Well, it was not a federal case. See, this is a federal case. And the difference is in these federal cases, they don't allow cameras into the courtrooms.
Gotcha.
I'm pretty sure. Make sure that's correct.
But it sure felt like the real reason.
Is that correct, you think?
I'm pretty sure I'll make sure.
I think that's correct. What do you
I felt like the reason was because we were all supposed to get crazy angry about it and fight about it, you know?
Well, yeah, there's a little bit of that, and it's a spectacle, and I think they wanted to put it on parade, and I think they had entirely too much faith in their prosecutors who turned out to be, not very good.
But the amount of misinformation with that trial was
Yeah.
insane.
Okay, yeah, here it is. Electronic media coverage of criminal proceedings in federal courts has been expressly prohibited under the Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 53 since the criminal rules were adopted in 1946. So for all those years, there have been no cameras allowed in federal court.
So even though
that's
there's
why.
so even if there's no cameras allowed, like how much information is allowed to get out with the press in a federal
Well, that's a
case?
good question because they banned that Maxwell trial tracker from Twitter.
I saw that.
Is there a reason for that?
Yeah.
Because, you got it?
Yeah.
And Jack Dorsey stepped down the day that the trial started.
Yeah, that's coincidental. He was planning on stepping down
far
for a
as
while.
you know.
I'm friends with Jack.
I'm joking.
No, I know.
I'm starting a
He was
conspiracy.
looking to get out a while ago. He's happy to get out. He wants to do other
But
things.
on the day that I'm just saying it's.
I mean,
it's
maybe
kind of
they
trippy.
started.
It's kind of trip.
Maybe they
trippy.
started dropping the hammer after he left because he was probably the last firewall for free speech
At
on
Twitter.
Twitter
Yeah.
because he's a staunch advocate of free speech. He really is, and it's hard to believe because you're like, oh my god, what are you saying? You fucking shill. Twitter is full of censorship. Yes, it is. But Twitter's not just Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey actually advocated for two versions of Twitter. One version of Twitter, his proposal was one version of Twitter would be censored and moderated the way you see it currently. Another would be the Wild West. It would be anything goes, anybody can post, enter at your own risk. I think that would have been a fantastic idea. As long as the people don't dox people or threaten people's lives and that kind of shit.
You can't say anything anymore without getting deplatformed.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
Crazy.
People are getting banned and they're getting videos taken down for fucking nothing.
Yeah,
For
for
nothing. So what is the reason why the trial tracker was taken down?
So as I say this, I'll add a caveat. This is the reason that was explained. It doesn't mean that it's accurate, legit, or good reason, but they said that this account was being used in manipulating practices and spam ways. It was used previously for other purposes on Twitter, and they changed the name to Maxwell Trial account when this was happening. So it was used in the past for stock tips or something like that. And they have other accounts there. This person or whoever was controlling it was also linking back off of Twitter's website to a Substack, which according to Twitter's rules is they don't want that to happen. They want to keep people on Twitter. So they use those things that's happening as a way to get it off.
Haven't people always done that? Because I know Alex Berenson.
Correct. That's why I don't think that that's a valid reason, but that's the reason I believe that they said. So I've just looked now for an update. Whoever was running it claims on their Substack they weren't doing that, and they have tried to get an appeal, and I don't think they've gotten a response.
They could easily just be saying that someone used it for other reasons.
Right.
And here's the other thing. Maybe you did use it for other reasons because that's why you set the Twitter account up, but then you had it, and then you decided, well, this is a valid reason to use my account, so I'm just going to repurpose my account that way. Why is that wrong?
Again, I don't know, but that's just what they said. And when I'm looking up now, someone that runs another blog that was looking into this has reached out for comment. They haven't gotten a comment back.
Regardless, though, that Maxwell trial is fascinating.
It is fascinating.
We want hundreds of millions, if not billions, of people are interested in the
Yeah.
outcome and what's happening, the details of that.
And
trial.
if someone could release data from that trial that was accurate, who gives a shit if they're unless they're
I'll
lying?
add into that though. Someone I follow on Twitter got into you can go there, you can go to it. It just can't be you can't live tweet it, but you could go watch it if you want to go to New York and sit in there. It's open, I believe.
Oh.
So it's just like the Supreme Court. You can go sit in the Supreme Court and watch. You just can't live tweet it.
But in order to find out details about the trial, you have to follow some obscure writer on Substack. You know what I mean? Instead of like just being able to like check it out online real quick and get all the details right away, like you could like with that Rittenhouse trial or something like that, you know?
Dude, the whole thing is so wild.
Yeah.
And like I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Alex Jones told me about this more than a decade ago. And I thought he was crazy. I'm pretty sure he told me about this before Epstein was even arrested the first time. And
What did he tell you about? Like actual...
I didn't remember at the time that he told me until after he got arrested, and then I was reading that there was a campaign.
Wait, he told you about Epstein years
Yes.
before it happened?
Yes.
And the whole...
before he got arrested.
The whole scene?
Yes. It was well known that they would take. He might not have even said Epstein by name, but he basically said that. I forget who he was saying was doing it, but this is what he said. What they do is they compromise these very powerful and wealthy politicians by make friends with them, they get him in tight, and then they're friends with all these other famous people, right? So they bring him to this party. So if you're a guy like Epstein, like one of the things you notice about Epstein, if you pay attention to like all the contacts that he had, there was a lot of famous people. A lot of famous people flew with him, and they would fly to do these charitable events, and they would fly to like Bill Gates flew with him, Bill Clinton flew with him, all these people. So if you were a celebrity and you got a chance to go hang out with some famous scientists and some famous politicians, and it's a dinner party, you're invited.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. You go to this dinner party, and he says like, I would like to invite you to my island. I have an island, was it in the Caribbean? Is that where it was? I have an island in the Caribbean, and you can come down, and we have this amazing place you could stay.
We'll fly you out.
And you know, you talk to these guys who your friends like, oh my God, you got to go. It's the best time.
Yeah.
The food's amazing. And
Right.
all these beautiful women are there. You're like, wow, sounds great. And if you're this fucking nerdy scientist guy or some celebrity that
Sign
thinks
me
like,
up.
whoa, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So he gets these people to do this, fly them to this island, make them feel like there's no rules, everything's fine here, it's wild. And meanwhile, they're filming these people. And so they compromise them.
Yeah.
And they bring these girls that are maybe underage or close to it, or they maybe look like they're not underage, but they are.
Yeah.
And they would film them having sex with these people. And so they always have this data and always have dirt on them. And the thing that always freaked me out was the painting. Epstein had a fucking painting of Bill Clinton in the foyer of his house. It's Bill Clinton in a dress. Bill Clinton with a blue dress on, pointing. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh my God, you have to see this.
Jamie.
It's the wildest shit ever. We want to get a copy of this. I don't think we might have to do it illegally. I don't think was that like the artist does not want anybody making copies of that or something
You
like that?
should buy the NFT.
I don't know about that.
Isn't
When's the NFT going to drop?
But look at this painting because it's so fucking ridiculous. And this was, remember, this is in the foyer of his house. Painting of Bill Clinton in a blue dress hung in Jeffrey Epstein's home. So when you went over Jeffrey Epstein's house in Manhattan,
Wow.
Did you ever see that one was in there too?
he had that one in there too. That's like to make it look like that George W. is a dumbass, but at least he didn't have them like.
There's two planes knocking over the bricks.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, like the towers.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
Well, wink, wink.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But the Clinton one, he's basically saying, you're my bitch. I got you, bro. Because Clinton, according to these transcripts, the flight logs, flew with him 26 times. And I'm like, dude, I haven't flown my mom 26 times in my whole life. And I love my mom.
Well, and you could fly once, right? Not know about the island and really like the details. You could just be going for the ribeyes and like bronzing by the pool. It could be nothing like evil and creepy about it at all. But 26 times, it's really difficult to keep those secrets for a long, long time.
What is that one in the trial? It says Bill Clinton painting and Jeffrey lower middle Fox News bottom row. Yeah, what is that?
This is when he was still on trial.
It says Holmes. It's a surprise to woman who painted president wearing blue dress.
He bought it from an artist. I remember reading about this. That was like a New York art student, and someone else had already paid for it.
Oh.
And Epstein came in as like a donor to the school, and they're like, no, you're going to sell this to him. Like she didn't have a choice.
Oh, and he put
So
it
I
up
read.
in his house to
Right.
say, "You're my bitch."
Wow, that's fascinating.
Imagine if I go over to your house. We're friends. I go over to your house like, Shane, you got a beautiful. Hey man, why the fuck do you have a painting of me in a dress?
Don't give me the ideas, bro. I know some good artists.
But I would think it's funny. But I mean, if you had been inviting me to your island to fuck underage girls,
jeez,
and then I saw a painting in your house of me in a dress, I would be a little upset. I'd be like, hey, what the fuck, bro?
That type of mindset's a little above my I'm just way too. I don't know what that. He was an evil freak, huh, dude?
What is this, James?
This is about the art in his house. He had a picture of himself
behind barbed wire and between a guard station and a corrections officer. It was described one of the few people to ever see it, a specialist in public relations. Yeah, but that's according to Business Insider. You know, Business Insider is a bit New York Posty in that New York Post is not saying that they're not accurate, because they are, but they're sensational. And when someone says, according to Business Insider, like somebody could have said that this is what they saw and it wasn't totally accurate. Like if you don't have a photo
That's
of
what
it.
I was trying to look. I thought there's going to be more photos in this, but they're.
I'm sure he had some creepy art. The crazy thing is he had that fucking building that a guy gave him. A guy gave him this like $70 million house in Manhattan, this gorgeous house. Like all these people gave him giant sums of money. Like there's a bunch of CEOs that had to retire because it turns out they were giving him like $150 million. It's like, why did you give him that much money? Because he had you by the balls.
Yeah, you had to, right?
Yeah, they had to.
Yeah.
He probably said, listen, you're worth $18 billion. What do you give a fuck if you give me $150 million?
Let me show you this little video that I have on my phone.
If you
of
want
you
your problems.
And,
a 14-year-old girl.
Heavy.
Yeah, heavy. Well, this is shit that Alex Jones was telling me about a decade ago.
And this is shit that we're talking about, but I mean, I feel like this needs to get out. I feel like this needs to be covered. And I mean, it's too fascinating with what's happening right now to have people not be able to learn about it.
They're keeping this trial as low-key as possible for a giant trafficking trial. It's a sex trafficking trial.
Yeah.
And they're keeping it as low profile as is humanly possible.
And Maxwell's the fall guy. She's the fall guy for everybody, by the looks of it.
Well,
and if she's not, it would be way better to be way more transparent.
It seems like she was heavily involved. It seems like she was recruiting girls. I don't think it was as simple as she's a fall guy.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying for sure she is, but I think there's way more people involved that are not being brought into it.
Right. Yeah, maybe. Well, also the question is like, who is she? What is she? Is she intelligence? Is she from a foreign country?
Right.
Is she, is she Mossad? Like that was the thing about Epstein. Like, is he in the Mossad? Like, what is this? Like, who are they compromising people for a specific purpose? Like, what's their overall plan?
Right. Was it all strategic in some way?
And the people that think that he didn't get murdered are the confusing ones to me. Like smart, I had Steven Pinker in here, and he was trying to tell me that he thought that Epstein killed himself. I go, what? And like, Pinker had been photographed with him.
Wait, he thought he had killed himself, or had
he thought he killed himself? And I'm like, no, someone killed that guy. And he's like, oh, I think he killed himself. Like,
didn't he hang himself off a 4-foot wall?
Whatever he did, the injuries to his neck were not consistent with someone who has been hung. They were consistent with someone who is strangled, because there was fractures in the neck bones that are consistent with strangulation. Somebody who wraps a fucking rope around your neck and chokes you to death versus someone who's like hanging. Because when you're hanging, all the weight, apparently, according to this guy, Dr. Michael Baden, who's that famous autopsy guy who was on that autopsy show on HBO, he broke it down. Let's see if we can find where he breaks it down. But there's a fracture in one of the neck bones in Jeffrey Epstein that is inconsistent with hanging, but very consistent with strangulation. So it's very common in people that have been like ligatures, where they fucking wrap a wire around your neck or a rope and just choke you to death. And also the ligature marks were down on the lower part of the neck, which is what happens when someone chokes you. Whereas if it was up here, that's what happens when you're hanging. Because when you're hanging, it gets stuck, by your jaw, and it gets tight there, and that's what gets you.
Well, and Epstein was in a category where it was a real risk that he would commit suicide, right? Just because of the situation, like it all. And a lot of times with people like him, I think that they have them in like a maximum security, like by themselves in a room that makes it really difficult to kill yourself, right?
Dude, everything was wrong. Everything
and
was wrong. The
there's a
camera's wrong.
camera that wasn't on.
Yeah. You see, Michael Baden, Epstein evidence points to homicide. Play it so we can hear what he says.
The brother's been asking that from day one.
I like how that's music. Do, 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 do. Is that music or is it music from something else?
We don't even know
Two
who was
tabs.
examined.
Can you go to the beginning? Because in the
absolutely right.
beginning, I
That's one
think,
of
is
the
where he
things
explains.
And is here to reveal
That the Epstein family needed help.
Well, I was asked by the brother, the next of kin, to be at the autopsy. And at the autopsy on day one, there were findings that were unusual for suicidal hanging and more consistent with ligature homicidal
This is what I wanted.
strangulation, which included
And it was suggested at the time that he committed suicide by doing what?
by hanging. At the time, he was found allegedly hanging by a homemade ligature of sheets.
Are you saying you don't think it was suicide?
I think that the evidence points toward homicide rather than suicide.
Why?
Because there are multiple 3 fractures in the hyoid bone, the thyroid cartilage, that are very unusual for suicide and more indicative of strangulation, homicidal strangulation.
Let's take a look at what the
There it
medical
is.
examiner stated.
That's all I want to say.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So when I had Pinker on, Pinker was one of those guys that got sucked into that. So he was photographed with Epstein, and
Oh, wow.
he was very sorry that he got mixed up with that. But like a lot of scientists, the guy donated money to science, and he enjoyed scientists and they thought probably it was a cool thing to do to go hang out and party, and But he was like, "Oh, I think he killed himself." I'm like, "I don't fucking think he killed himself." And that was one of the things that I was pointing to, was Baden pointing out that it was more consistent with strangulation than it was hanging.
If you look at all the factors that had to happen for there to be a question mark on his death,
Yeah.
there's no way you can be someone who's thinking clearly and think that he killed himself.
He's one of the
Zero
most
chance.
important witnesses ever, the most important defendant ever in a case that involves dozens of extremely powerful and extremely wealthy people that may have participated in sex crimes. And there's no guards, and the
They're
cameras
sleeping.
don't work, and he's hung, but the hanging, it doesn't match the evidence, which points to strangulation rather than hanging. It's so fucking fishy.
Since when do prison guards, in a situation like that, just happen to just be like both taking a nap at the
we're
same? Hey, let's
sleeping.
both sleep right now.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Fuck out of here.
Those prison guards are either suicided by now, or they're driving Lambos and living in like Beverly Hills and like monstrous mansions.
Yeah, I wonder what they do with those people.
Oh, they're toast.
But if you did want to kill the guards because the guards knew too much, like how would you get away with that?
Well, and I feel like it's like a murder pyramid scheme.
Yeah, you
the
have to
more
keep
people
murdering.
you kill, the
more people you have to kill.
Yeah.
Right? Because those people tell people. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucked.
That's why.
Epstein guards to skirt jail time and deal with prosecutors. Oh, how convenient. They're fine. Just gonna-
Don't
just
ask
gonna
any
go
questions.
chill.
It's all,
Snitches
it's
get
all
stitches.
misinformation.
Says they admitted to falsifying records, but will not go to jail for that.
Oh, they falsified records. What did they say?
I
That was not correct.
willfully and knowingly lied on forms stating that they made required rounds checking on inmates the night of Epstein's suicide.
Wow. The guards were sleeping and surfing the web when they should have been monitoring the maximum security federal prisoner. Maybe. Maybe they were. But either way, someone got in that fucking cell and likely strangled the shit out of them.
That's like one of the most interesting trials and situations of our lifetime,
Yeah.
and probably one of the most important.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy that nobody's. I don't know. It's just weird to me that we can't figure out the details.
They're not trying.
They're not trying. They're actively trying to not let us find out anything about it.
It's so transparent now how the news has been manipulated as opposed to when we were younger, we used to think, oh, this is the news. But now, because of the internet, because of the amount of access that we have to all these different sources of information where, you can read these stories about that. You can see Michael Baden talking about this. And there's so much available on the internet. You can get a much better sense of how much you're getting lied to.
Yeah.
And it's not good. It's a lot.
You actually, like, if you actually want the real news, it actually kind of takes a lot of effort because there's so much bullshit out there to cut through. And if you're getting your information very easily, it's probably all wrong.
Do you feel connected completely to America while you're living in Hawaii? Because let's be honest, Hawaii is amazing. I love it, but it's really not America. It's awesome, but it's 5 hours by plane in the middle of the ocean. Should it be protected by America? 100%. Should it be protected by the Constitution? 100%. But let's be honest. It's an island and it's its own thing.
That's an interesting question. I agree. It's different for me because I was born in Hawaii, so I don't know. I just know it as home, and there's a lot of people in Hawaii who don't feel like it's part of America and kind of wish it wasn't. Obviously,
right.
It's nice to have the protection of America. But
there's quite a separatist movement right there, right? Yeah.
But I feel like Hawaii is almost like its own country.
I think so.
Similar to Texas, even though there's no ocean separating Texas, and I feel like Texas is its own country.
Yeah. At one point in time it was.
It has its complete own culture, and its own everything about it is I don't know. I feel like once you get to Texas, everything's totally different. The people, the culture, and Hawaii is much like that.
Yes. Yeah, it really is.
But it's very, these days it's harder to get into a restaurant in Honolulu than it is. I flew back from Mexico back to the States recently, and it was easier for me to get back into the country from Mexico than it was to go to dinner with my wife in Honolulu.
Really?
Got to show your vaccine passport and all that stuff to get into restaurants in Honolulu.
I wonder how long that's going to last. That's the question. It's like if the pandemic slowly dissipates and COVID is not a thing anymore, how much freedom can we really gain back? And how much will they try to continue to find new ways to put pressure on people, to bend their will, to get them to do this, fill out that, have some sort of a passport system where you have to show that you've been up on all your vaccinations. Did you get your flu shot? Did you do that? Like, they're not going to just let everything go back to the way it was in 2018.
Isn't that funny how they tell us that there is, though? This is like a temporary situation. It's going to be 2 weeks to flatten the curve. We've been told all of it, and it's crazy because there's a famous saying that's how does it go? There's nothing more permanent than a temporary government program, and it's kind of true. It feels like that in this point in time. In America, it feels like that. It feels like all these temporary things, these things that are just for the next 2 weeks or the next month or until this happens or that happens. I don't know.
Do you remember when there was no breakthrough cases? They were saying it's extremely rare.
Yeah.
Extremely rare for someone to catch COVID after they've been vaccinated.
This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
Yes, it is. And now it's completely flipped on its head. I know someone who's been boosted and they just got COVID.
Boosted? Have you been boosted?
Double vaccinated and boosted just a few months ago caught COVID. Sick as shit. It's like, what the fuck, man? And then the narrative changed for it doesn't stop you from getting COVID, but it does make it much less likely for you to be hospitalized or die. Oh, okay. And then that became the narrative. That's not what the narrative was. The narrative was get vaccinated, you don't get COVID.
Yeah.
And then it changed. I'm wondering what it would take to go back to normal. Imagine if something came along, like a pill or something, it's all gone. There's no more COVID. Or it's a non-issue. Would they let everything go back to the way it was? I don't think so. I definitely don't think they will in Australia. I think Australia's fucked forever. I think they're fucked forever. The way they're treating their people and the way they're responding, the way all the madness of the lockdowns and what they're apparently doing to indigenous people, where they're taking these folks and they're when they find out people have had contact, or when they think that they have COVID, they're shipping them off to camps hundreds of kilometers away.
They're building those large COVID camps and arresting people, taking them away from their families, putting them in the camps. It's messed up. The people are under total control there. I have a lot of good friends, as you can imagine. I go to Australia a lot, and I love the country, and I have so many good friends there that they're just baffled.
It's baffling because it's like unrecognizable. The country and the government is unrecognizable to what it was 2 years ago. I have quite a few friends that live in Australia that are moving. One of my buddies has moved to New Zealand. He's like, I got to get the fuck out of here, and that's like the easiest way for me to get out is go to New Zealand.
Yeah. I have a lot of friends who moved to America from Australia because they're just too heavy what's happening in Australia. And if you fly there as a resident, you fly back there, you're not leaving for a very long time.
Yeah, you have a 2-week quarantine, right?
Yeah, and you can't get out of there.
Pretty heavy. Then, there's this Omicron shit. They're saying, oh, you need a booster, you need a booster. You know what they found out about Omicron? There's been virtually no deaths. They might have attributed one death to Omicron. Out of all the people that got it, all the hysteria, the cases are all mild. They're all mild. One person they attributed who died from it, and I want to know what was wrong with that person. I want to know, like, when they say one death attributed to it, say what they looked like. Tell me how much they weighed. How old were they?
Yeah.
What other comorbidities did they have? This seems like fuckery. You're telling people to get another shot for something that doesn't even, it's not worse than a cold?
When you watch the news, Omicron, it's like the evil, just crazy, like it's terrifying, right? If you watch the news and sit there, it's just, oh my God, we're screwed. This Omicron thing, it's taking over the world, just hundreds of millions of cases and all this stuff. And you're never once told that it's way less deadly. All you're told is it's way more contagious.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And we talked about this earlier, this morning we're hanging, but think of all the, like in my friend group, I know so many people that have been vaccinated, and I'm friends with a lot of people that know that the best thing you can do to not die if you get COVID is to not be fat, not have diabetes, there's certain things you control with lifestyle choices that can make you a whole lot healthier and a lot stronger against COVID. And I know a lot of people who are overweight, they haven't lost a single pound. Yeah. All they did is get vaccinated thinking they're completely healthy and
well, not only that, they've
so
shown,
strange to me.
If people pay attention to it, pull up that thing that shows what's wrong with obese people when it comes to COVID and antibodies. There's actually a condition that happens with obese people and COVID where their body does not process or produce antibodies correctly. I forget exactly what the term of it is. We'll pull it up real quick and we'll find out.
But I watch the news all the time and they never say, hey, by the way,
it's extremely important
America,
that you lose weight.
Let's get healthier.
Yeah.
What are you doing to let's all make better lifestyle choices. Let's get healthier. Let's get
But that's not what the news's job is. The news's job is to scare the fuck out of you so you keep tuning in. The news's job is not to give you good advice so that you have a better, more prosperous and healthy life. Do you find the thing on the...
Well, it also doesn't help that the news is
something weirder, but
subsidized and financed by the companies that are making these things.
Yeah, this is it. Obesity increases likelihood of peak COVID-19 antibody levels after... And what?
Yeah,
what is this?
That's what I'm saying.
When is this? Oh, this is May of 2021. So that's saying they have more antibodies?
Right, that's what I was trying. This is fucking
That's
weird.
not true. The newest stuff that they found,
and
obesity, COVID, antibodies. What is that one right there? The majority of SARS-CoV-2 specific antibodies. Click on that. Is that it? Scroll up.
There's a lot of information in there.
Yeah, I think this is it. The majority of SARS-CoV-2 specific antibodies in COVID-19 patients with obesity are autoimmune and not neutralizing. This is it. So what it says is obesity decreases the secretion of SARS-CoV-2 specific antibodies in the blood of patients. How obesity impacts the quality of the antibody secreted, however, is not understood. Therefore, the objective of the study is to evaluate the presence of neutralizing versus autoimmune antibodies in COVID-19 patients with obesity. So essentially what they're saying is what one of the papers that I was reading about this was that people that are obese, their body just does not produce what's necessary to fight it off. That's why all these folks that are hospitalized, like at one point in time, it was like 78% of the people in the ICU
I thought this
were
is
obese.
what you were going to go after.
This is
So you
another
think
one.
that's-
This is a new one. This is a new one. The coronavirus attacks fat tissue, scientists find. So this is another compounding issue. So the research may help explain why people who are overweight and obese have been at a higher risk of severe illness and death from COVID. So the coronavirus loves fatties. That's what it's saying.
Well,
So it's just
and-
two different things, but both of them compounding to say that it's just terrible to be overweight and to have COVID. And yet, no one's telling you that.
I feel like that information is extremely important, especially in America where we have such an obesity problem. You know
Yeah,
what I mean, like half of our country in a lot of states is obese, and
But no one wants a fat shame. They're scared.
yeah, that's
They're
fucked
scared.
up though because I feel like it's so important that I mean it's crazy that you can tell all these people that all you need is a vaccination and you're good to go.
Yeah.
But these people are
Most people eat like shit.
yeah.
That's what the problem is. It's too easy to eat like shit. Like today we were driving, remember we passed by McDonald's, like, man, it draws you in, you feel like it. Maybe we should just go to McDonald's. Slip in there and get a nice fillet of fish and order a fries and a large Coke. Oh, it'd be delicious.
Imagine when that fish was caught.
Years ago. If it's even a fish.
Yeah.
It could be anything. It could be a rat. But this fucking, the problem is, it's like, that's where most people eat. Like,
Yeah.
what's the percentage? Okay, let's Google this. What percentage of people's meals are from fast food? The average American. What percentage of their meals are fast food? I'm gonna say 40.
When's the last time you ate at McDonald's?
About a year ago, I think.
What'd you have?
Filet of fish. I love those. They're delicious. I think it was a podcast I did with Tim Dillon and
yeah, the
Alex
election
Jones.
one.
Yeah, during the
That was
election.
a year ago.
Yeah, we ate a bunch of filet of fishes.
Oh, wow.
They were delicious. Oh, that was Kyle Kalinske.
That was my go-to when I was a kid. Filet of fish whenever I would go to McDonald's, which wasn't super often, but
Yeah, filet of fish is delicious. It's straight garbage.
it's gnarly. Ugh. So gnarly.
But let's take a guess. What percentage of Americans, like the average American, what percentage of their meals comes from fast food?
20%.
I say 40. Jamie, what do you say?
Well, I'm already looking at it.
But just take a guess.
I can't.
Okay, you're cheating.
I'm staring at the information.
If you weren't gonna cheat, what would you say?
I don't know.
Okay, tell me what it is.
Jamie's like, what?
I'm like, what do you want me to just make up a
Trick
lie?
question?
Like,
He's honest. That's
Yeah,
it's a
that's
test.
good. I like
You're
it.
an honest
I
man,
guess
Jamie.
37%. Guess what? It turns out 37% of Americans eat fast food every day.
Wow, you were close, Joe.
That's pretty
That's
good.
way higher than I thought. Jeez,
Yeah.
that's so crazy. It's straight poison people are putting in their bodies.
That's a lot.
That's so messed up.
That's a lot.
I won't let my kids.
It's a lot of meals, man. It's a lot of meals.
I'm not only picking out McDonald's, but none of that shit.
We'll
Kids-
eat it occasionally for a goof, like if maybe we're on a road trip or something like that and everyone's starving. And we're
Yeah,
like, pull in,
I get
Daddy,
it.
pull in. Like,
I get it.
okay. And we'll pull in. You know what I do like? Popeye's fried chicken. Oh my God, I love Popeye's.
But I feel like that's still chicken and it's still normal. It's just frozen. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well,
it's
I
gnarly
guess.
though.
There was this gnarly is a funny word. There's some parts
Some
of
food
it.
is gnarly.
Yeah,
gnarly.
It's deep fried in some funky
it's nasty.
oil for sure. It's not like healthy for you.
Wingstop's pretty good.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will go Wingstop from time to time.
Popeye's red beans and rice though is pretty fucking good.
I was traveling with my kid and a couple of his buddies during COVID, and it was like we had to be responsible and be locked down in our own little zone, and we were doing a surf trip, and we did a lot of DoorDash, and we did some Wingstop.
Yeah,
was
good
good.
stuff.
Yeah. Lemon pepper 10 piece.
I think people's ability to get food that easy was a giant mistake. And I think if you think about the obesity problem in this country, all right, let's guess this. I kind of used to know the answer, but I forgot it. I think it's more than 50% of Americans are obese.
That's crazy.
I think it's something like that. What
Did
would
you get fat at all during COVID?
No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I got maybe 5 pounds overweight at the most.
A lot of people got fat during COVID though, right? Because
I have a gym.
a lot of people don't have
home.
home gyms.
Yeah, home gym is giant. But also I'm like so accustomed to working out, whether it's running hills or
Keeps you
hitting the
sane.
back. Yeah,
right?
yeah. I
Makes you a
I
better
have to-
person.
I have to work out.
How much of a dick are you if you don't exercise?
Well, I'm anxious and I don't feel good.
Yeah.
And I'm stressed, and even if I'm not a dick, I just don't feel good. I feel like shit. And when I work out, I feel so light and relaxed. You know, I just feel so good.
Less stress.
But let's guess what percentage. I used to know the number, but I want to say it's more than 50% of Americans are obese.
Make a delineation between obese and overweight, because there's two different numbers that I got for you.
Okay. Well, according to Body Mass Index, I'm obese.
Yeah, that's a weird thing.
Yeah, because I'm short, but I weigh 200
heavier,
pounds. So I'm supposed to be like 160 or something like that. Or 170.
Isn't that weird? It's such a bad way to
dumb.
measure somebody's
So
health.
stupid. So stupid.
So
And that's like an important metric for
Yeah.
like health insurance and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so dumb.
adults over the age of 20, 40% are obese.
Whoa.
Wow.
71.6% are at least overweight and or obese.
71% are overweight. Wow. So essentially almost 3/4 of America is overweight.
That's just genetics, man. You can't do anything about it.
Yeah,
It's a
man.
disease.
It's like, it's not your fault.
It's not your fault, man.
It's not your
Has
fault.
nothing to do with you.
Hey, dude, if that many people are overweight, maybe it's just natural.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are not meant to be obese.
You ever see a
Human
photo?
beings were not meant to be obese. We
No.
weren't.
Have you ever seen a photo of the beach from like 1940
Yeah.
before processed food? It's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's wild.
And before convenience and laziness, dude.
Everybody was so thin.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to get food back then.
Yeah. Wasn't so convenient. There was no
No.
DoorDash.
And I mean, when was McDonald's even invented? I bet the first McDonald's burgers were fucking great. Because I
Yeah.
bet it was just a cheeseburger.
Probably really good, yeah.
Yeah, they probably
Yeah.
just fried a nice cheeseburger.
Yeah.
It's probably like In-N-Out.
In and out.
Yeah. Right? Well, if you see if you can find a beach photo from
I'm looking for a good
1940.
one.
Bro, it's wild. Everyone's thin. They're all thin.
Yeah.
No one has a gut.
It's crazy.
It's fucking
It's
food,
crazy.
man. It's food. But it's, you know how you can really tell it's food? When you go to European countries. You're like, hey, you guys are eating pasta every day. Why do you weigh 150 pounds?
This
The most
hyper-convenience.
beautiful I could find.
Look at that. That's a
Yeah.
great one. That's
Wow.
a perfect example.
That's insane.
Insane. Look at all these
There's
fucking
one
people
overweight
on the
guy
beach.
here on the
Smoke a
right.
cigarette.
That's like the fattest guy.
Yeah, but barely. That guy
Yeah.
would be fit. He'd be like, Tom, you're
He'd
looking
be
great.
ripped these days.
Bert Kreischer would kill to have that body.
That's crazy. Now, imagine recreating that now. It's just like a general sample of the
Oh my
population.
God, everybody would be so fat. Look, everyone's kind of ripped. Look, all these guys have abs.
Let's go back to 1940. Imagine how stoked the ladies were back then. They were just like, look at all these ripped dudes.
Yeah, but the ladies never worked out, so
Yeah.
they were hot for about 5 years, and then it was a wrap.
Now they're hot forever.
Oh my God! Yeah, you can see a 50-year-old lady at the gym is hot as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
It's
not
so
want to
true.
let it go. They're
No.
there every morning with
No.
their fucking water bottle.
Disciplined.
Yeah.
My wife this morning, dude, I was hungover and tired. I went to sleep at like 1:30 last night, and alarm went off at like 6:30, and she was like, "Bing!" out of bed. We got to go to the gym. It'll make us feel better.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, "You're kidding me,
Your
girl."
wife's a go for it. I
Yeah,
love it.
she is.
You got a good one.
Yeah.
Look
No
at these ladies
excuses.
with their hats too. They all have those goofy hats, sun hats and shit.
Yeah, there was very little convenience at this point in America,
No.
right? I feel like I swear that's one of my biggest concerns these days is like the hyper convenience, and I'm super guilty of it as well.
Yeah.
Like all this shit, like our phones and being able to order anything we want and like do everything from our phone and
Look at
have
that
everything
photo.
delivered.
Get that photo of those girls at the beach, right there. That's what a woman's supposed to look like when they don't work out. And
Wow,
they're-
you're
they're-
gonna cop a lot of shit for this, Joe.
No, if a woman doesn't work out, like back then,
Right.
How am I copping shit for that? That's what they looked like.
Well, you're telling women what they're supposed to look like, right?
Well, before they had processed food, before they didn't work, it's not
I
ideal.
100% agree.
But if you go back, it's not. Go back to that photo. Like
Where was all
there's-
the bad genetics back then, Joe?
It's the food, bro.
Yeah, it's the choices. It's the laziness. in the food.
Also, those are models.
I was gonna say they
those
wouldn't.
are-
They
those are
wouldn't
pretty
waste
hot.
photos on
Yeah.
people back then.
I mean, those are very, very shapely young ladies. I mean, they don't have bad genetics at all. But I mean, the point is that these girls
They had to
they
look
have
good though,
small
because all the
arms.
dudes were ripped.
All guys had to work for a living, right? They
Yeah.
had to carry logs and shit. But like those women were not built. Like if you find like women today, like at a gym, the body shape is so different than the bodies from the 1940s.
Yeah.
You go to a gym, like especially like a CrossFit gym, you see girls with abs,
Yeah.
fucking shoulder muscles are toned. They got
Jacked.
big fucking
Jacked.
There's some jacked
asses, and
dudes.
look at those guys are jacked. Look at those guys, all fit. They probably swim for miles. No one's fat. It's crazy. I guarantee you it's the food. It's a
100%
lot of
it
it.
was the food.
Because if you just ate salads and meat, salads and fish, there's no way you'd get fat. You'd have to eat so much. Like one of the things that I found, I did that carnivore diet, and I'm going to do it again in January. January is World Carnivore Month, and what I do is for the entire month, I eat nothing but meat. And
What do you mean nothing but meat? Be
that's all.
specific.
Nothing
Are
but
you
meat.
serious?
That's it. Yeah, you never heard of that?
I just figured like the carnivore diet meant like a lot of meat.
No, it means only meat.
For a month, 30 days.
Yep.
Only meat.
Only meat. I ate mostly ribeye steaks, and I ate elk meat with bacon because you need some fats. Because your body essentially goes into ketosis.
Because through all the meat, you don't get
Yeah.
enough fat?
No, you need fats.
That's kind of crazy, right? You would think there'd be plenty of fat.
No, not in game meat.
I just
yeah.
added fat to the search we just did, and
Yeah.
it brings up a bunch of comics about fat people from the back then.
Well, they were pretending. Imagine if someone was this
Well,
fat.
and there was no such thing as fat shaming back then, right?
Right. They would get mad at you.
And,
you
yeah,
fat fuck. They
People
would get, they
weren't
pissed
so
at ya.
sensitive back then.
1940s fat women beach butt. Huh. So this was, there was probably a few fat people back. You probably had to look for them, though.
These days, people are all so sensitive, though. We're a bunch of big pussies.
So my point is, when I ate this way, I lost 12 pounds
Wow.
in a month. Right?
That's crazy.
And I'm sure some of it is like water in your muscles because you're not taking in any carbohydrates. So and my mental clarity was incredible. Like my energy levels was incredible.
Wow. That's
But
kind of surprising, right?
But my exercise energy was not incredible, not good. Like I don't know if there's an adaptation
Stamina?
period.
Did you get-
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Like when I would work out, like hit the bag, I get tired really quick.
Huh.
Even lifting weights, I get tired pretty quick. I just was not. I didn't have the same enthusiasm, the same like gusto that I have when I have a lot of carbs. And I know friends that have tried to do keto, and they've tried to like fighters who are training on keto, and they did not like it. They did not feel good. They felt like really low energy and
I can't believe
lackadaisical.
people do keto. I mean, I get it. I totally get it. I get what's behind it, but I have a lot of friends who, I don't know, I know a ton of people who have tried keto. I don't know anybody who's made a lifestyle change to keto for good.
I do know one guy who's on keto all the
Freaking
time.
hard,
he's
man.
a scientist.
It's hard.
Dom D'Agostino, but he's a keto scientist. Like one of the things he does is study the effects of ketones, exogenous
Yeah.
ketones, naturally occurring ketones from food, and what's the best foods to eat in combination. But my point is, what I was going to say is like, even though I lost weight, also my appetite shrank. Like you can only eat so much steak.
Yeah.
Like
That's
the
for sure.
the thing is, if you have steak and then you have pasta and potatoes and maybe some
God.
Brussels sprouts or whatever, like you ate at Red Ash last night, right?
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys have steak there?
We sure did.
Steak's incredible, right?
We had a New York.
They have that Argentine grill. They have the wood
Dude.
fire. That's why it's called Red Ash.
We
It's
went
all
crazy.
wood fire grill.
We had New York steak. We had red snapper, this crazy red snapper. We had octopus. We had clams. That place is
Place is
a joke.
delicious.
So good.
It's very
Thanks for
good.
getting us in there.
My pleasure.
Yeah, we had a blast.
But my point is, if you were just eating steak, you'd get tired of it. Your
Yeah.
body gets satiated. Satiety. There's a high satiety level. Like you get satisfied quickly, and then you don't eat anymore. But if you had the pasta next to it, you just start eating the pasta
Yeah.
too, even though you're done
Right.
with the steak. But if you
Right.
just commit to eating steak, you'd be amazed at when you get full, when you're full, when you're satisfied.
Plus,
And then your body switches over to it, and it gets accustomed to it. Like a couple weeks in, I was accustomed to it.
I feel like psychologically you just eat less because you're bored of eating the same thing too.
There's a little bit of that, but I didn't really get bored of it. I still enjoyed it. Steak is so good to me that I still enjoyed it. But like when I was trying to eat only wild game, I felt like it's probably important that I mix some fat in there. So I was cooking it in beef
It's so
tallow
good. Yeah.
a lot, and I was also adding bacon. And I think adding bacon was a good factor because it's just not enough. I mean, there's no fat in a piece of elk.
So are you doing this again soon?
Yeah, I'm going to do it in January.
And what percentage of the meat that you're eating is wild game versus?
Well, during that time,
Yeah.
I was doing more ribeyes than I was wild game, just for the fat.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
Wow.
you have to have fat.
Yeah.
Because if you just, you ever heard of rabbit starvation?
No.
If you eat an incredibly lean animal like a rabbit, rabbits are super lean. You could literally not have enough fat to survive, even though you're eating.
You ever watch that show Alone?
Find that rabbit
Alone?
starvation. Yeah, I had Jordan Jonas on the podcast.
He was the winner, right?
Yeah, he won it.
Dude, that show is
He was a
so
bow
good,
hunter.
and you wouldn't like exactly what you said, that rabbit starvation thing. I didn't know it by name, but I trip on that show because they're eating. Some of them are badasses. They kill a lot of rabbits. They kill a lot of, small game animals, and they're eating a lot, and they're losing weight like crazy because there's no fat.
So rabbit starvation. So it's a protein poisoning. The term rabbit starvation
Wow.
originates from the fact that rabbit meat is very lean, almost all of the caloric content from protein rather than fat. And click on that from Wikipedia. Oh, I guess you can go back. Just go back real quick. It was in that bottom thing. There it goes. Okay, so the body takes in too much protein, not enough fat and carbohydrate for a long period of time. Other names for this are rabbit starvation or mal de caribou. These terms come about to describe only consuming very lean protein such as rabbit without consuming other nutrients. So Jordan, the guy that was on the podcast who won it, he actually had a wolverine steal a bunch of his fat. He shot a moose because he brought a bow and arrow, and he was a bow hunter. So for him, and he had actually spent a bunch of time living in Siberia with a bunch of indigenous people that live up there, and like they would actually ride caribou like a horse. It's wild shit.
That's crazy.
And he lived with those people, so he kind of had a better understanding of how to survive outside than anybody. And so he shot this moose, and he had stored the fat from the moose, like the caul fat and all the gut fat and all that stuff. And then a wolverine came and stole it. And so he killed the wolverine with a fucking axe. So he went out and fought this wolverine who was like attacking his stash of food and hacked it to death. And then he ate its liver
So
and
good.
ate its heart, I think. Wild.
And they eat everything, like the eyes and the
Oh, yeah.
everything.
The
Like
fat's
every
in
last
there.
thing
There's a lot
about
of
him.
fat in the eye.
Yeah, and then they were like boiling the bones and to get the marrow out. all
Yeah.
that. That
Yeah.
show is so good.
Oh, did you have marrow at Red Ash?
I didn't.
I should have told you to.
I know.
It's the best.
Yeah,
I fucked up.
that's
I
what
should have
Phil
told
said
you
too.
that.
He's like, "Did you have the marrow?" And I was like, "What?"
Oh my God, you gotta have the marrow.
So I
The
gotta
bone,
come-
their bone
I gotta
marrow,
come back.
they deliver it on. It's like bone marrow's healthy, but we're gonna put it on garlic bread. So it's like this thick, delicious bread covered with like butter and
Dude, I
garlic.
had that. I didn't know there was bone marrow on it though.
Oh, that's a different. That's
okay.
That
there's
one didn't
normal
have
garlic
bone
bread.
marrow.
That shit was
There's-
crazy
yeah.
good though.
There's that garlic bread, and then they take bone marrow and serve it with that garlic
Wow.
bread.
All right,
It's off the chain.
I gotta come back to
son.
Austin for
Off
that.
the chain.
Coming
Great
back to
staff
Red
there
Ash.
too. That place is incredible. Everyone's so nice. Everyone's so nice in Texas, right? You notice the difference?
Yeah, it's epic. I love it. It's my wife's first time to Austin, and I've been coming here a little bit over the years, and I like it. I love the city. It's
It
great.
is an amazing place. Look at this
Yeah.
shit somebody gave me. This is a real one that they pulled out of the ground here.
a real
arrowhead.
Oh wow, very cool.
Yeah. Real Native American.
You know you're supposed to leave these where they lie, Joe.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Somebody gave it to me though. Look at that. That's the red ash.
That's
bone marrow.
bullshit. You can bring it home, dude.
I know.
Enjoy it.
Isn't that stupid?
Yeah, it's
Leave
very
them where they
stupid.
lie. Why? So
Dumbest
someone else
shit
can
ever.
steal it? That's the red ash bone
Yeah.
marrow. Look at that.
Sick. Don't go there. Anyone listening?
Yeah, don't.
come to Austin. It's terrible. Don't go to Red
Yeah.
Ash. It's not that.
I already
great.
fucked up. I already
Yeah,
fucked up.
the place
Talked
was
too much about it.
Pop in last night.
But you imagine like this is what you're relying on to get your food.
Yeah.
And then a homemade
Amazing.
arrow.
Badass.
That you're like kind of just judging roughly how much it weighs.
No rangefinder.
Yeah, no rangefinder. I mean, have you ever shot traditional? You ever shot like a recurve or anything?
Only at targets. Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
It's amazing anybody killed
Yeah.
anything with those things.
Well, people were freaking hungry back then too. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like you become a lot better at something out of necessity and starvation.
I wonder what they practiced on. Like, how do they practice getting good with a bow and arrow? Did they have
Yeah, I wonder
targets
what they
back
made out.
then?
For sure, they had targets. For sure,
They had to, right?
they probably made it out of like dirt and hay or something like that. For sure.
Yeah, must be.
Because that was the only way they could kill something real that would last for a long time. So, and they were feeding whole villages, right, and groups
Yeah.
of people. So, the people who are hunters, they had to get really, that's all they did.
Yeah.
They were like specialized in bow hunting,
Well, there's a guy that I know online out here that's friends with a good buddy of mine. I got introduced to him, and he has a ranch, and he finds arrowheads all the time. He sifts through them. Like, there's a fucking immense amount of arrowheads out here.
Think of all the shots that were missed back then.
Yeah, or even made it. And
yeah,
they
definitely.
Broke off the arrow, and the arrowhead lay there. But this guy finds them on his ranch, like, literally every week. Like a dozen. So you got to imagine, like, he does it, like, he has a whole method. Like, they'll dig out a specific chunk of ground, and then they take the dirt and they sift through it. Like, he's like a professional arrowhead hunter. And he finds some of them that are gorgeous, that they're see-through.
That one's insane.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Think about the Native Americans back in the day that was their job, was hunting with bow and arrow. They were blacking out the sky with arrows, dude.
Yeah, well, they were really good at shooting arrows while they were riding a horse too, apparently.
How
particularly
badass
the
is
Comanche.
that?
Yeah, they were really good in motion. Like, they had a timing thing. They knew exactly how to let it go.
Crazy.
Just imagine having to feed your family with this, your kids. Think of how much you love your kids, and think about, like, having to make a projectile point out of rocks and make it sharp enough so you could stick it through the rib cage of a deer so that you could eat.
With a bow that you've for sure made yourself
For sure.
with your hands.
Yeah, you ain't buying it anywhere.
No.
No.
Imagine the shame and the guilt of coming back to camp or coming back to the village with nothing.
Oh my
All your
God.
arrows are gone.
And everyone's starving.
Your horse is starving and thirsty.
And
your
you
whole
see your
family's,
horse.
what'd you get, Dad? Didn't get anything.
They would oftentimes have to eat their horse.
Pretty heavy.
Yeah. Dude, I've been reading so many books over the last few years about Native Americans, and one of the books was about this specific area called Empire of the Summer Moon, and it's all about the Comanche, and the Comanche, how they lived here. Those people ate nothing but meat. The Comanche they're all buffalo. That's the majority of their diet was buffalo. They occasionally eat bear.
Imagine how lean they were.
Oh my God, they were shredded.
Yeah, for sure.
They were shredded. I mean, you didn't have a chance to get fat back
Working
then.
all day, eating nothing
Yeah.
but buffalo. Jeez,
Out in the
that's
sun,
a dream.
running around, soaking up that vitamin D.
Their wives were stoked. They were.
They
were so shallow.
trying to stay alive.
Just like, look at my man. Look at that rig.
So shredded.
Yeah. Shredded.
So shredded.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's a harder
When are you-
world and not that long ago.
When are you doing that all meat month-long diet?
January.
That's
Yeah.
like no nut November. What is that?
That's so stupid.
It's
That
so
doesn't even
messed
make
up.
any sense. But the carnivore diet, I know people that have been on it for years. And some people supplement with fruit and with honey. And some folks would just eat like steak and apples. That's a common one. Like, they'll get a little carbohydrates from apples. And the idea is that fruit is a natural thing that humans eat. It's unprocessed. It's very simple. And that you get some carbohydrates that way, and then you get most of your protein and your fats and everything else from meat.
What does the scientific health data say about that diet? Like the non-biased, middle of the road, like just strictly facts. Like,
That's a good question.
If you ate like that for 3 months, say, or 4 months, at the end, would there be any like red flags?
Well, there's a guy named Paul Saladino who's been on the podcast before, who wrote a book about it. I think it's called The Carnivore Code, and he's actually an MD, and he eats nothing but meat, and he's become a carnivore advocate, and he absolutely believes that as long as you eat what they call nose to tail, so as long as you eat liver, heart, kidneys, and he supplements also with some fruit and some honey and some things like that. But I think his position is just stay the fuck away from everything processed, everything with any kind of preservatives or chemicals that allow it to sit on a shelf for years. Like, all that shit is not good for you. It's not good for your gut biome. It's not really healthy for you. I mean, it's better than starving, but it's not good food. The best food is lean, healthy meat with natural fats, like grass-fed fats are better for you. It's like grass-fed ribeyes is really where it's at.
Yeah.
Where you get like just the natural fat from a healthy animal, and then your healthy lean red meat, and then he'll eat some other stuff along with that, like some berries or something along those lines.
Does he eat fish too, or no?
Yeah. But he's shredded. He's real healthy. He's been doing it for years, and he was a vegan at one point in time.
Oh wow!
And he was
his body must have tripped.
Yeah, he
out.
said he was unhealthy as a vegan, and I don't know if he was doing it right. I mean, some people, and then it's also there's different people that can do a vegan diet and they thrive on it. They have zero problem and they look great. And then there's other people that have real fucking problems. Like I have a good buddy of mine who, for ethical considerations, he decided that he wanted to try veganism. And then he had to quit after a couple of months because his fucking blood chart was so off. He went and got his blood levels and his lipids were so fucked up. And he's like, I have to stop doing this.
It's not for everybody.
No. So he started eating fish. He started eating salmon and salmon eggs, trying to get healthy fats. And then eventually went back to meat. And he just felt like he feels better when he eats meat.
Have you ever tried the vegan thing?
I did vegetarian for 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Back when I was fighting, because I was trying to make weight. And I had gone from this one weight class, and the next weight class was 14 pounds heavier, and I was like trying not to go up in the weight class. And I eventually had to give up. And then I started eating meat again, and I gained 10 pounds like quickly.
Wow! Did you get skinny from the vegetarian diet?
I was weak. I was getting weak. I was kind of starving myself. It was not smart. It was just I was the state champion at 140 pounds, and I really wasn't 140 pounds. I was in the 150 range, and I would diet and starve myself, and then I would dehydrate myself to get down to 140. And I would have to fight the day that I did it too. You weigh in the day of. And then I did it for 1 year. I did it before I was 18, and then when I was 18, I did 1 year at 140, and then I went up to 154. And then I was at my best after that. Like my best performances in competition were definitely at 154 pounds.
Well,
it was
meat
way
probably
better.
Helped for your, I don't know what your blood type is, but it probably,
Was also I had
probably made you
energy.
stronger, more power.
100%. I was way more powerful,
Yeah.
way faster, and I had more energy. I was just better. I was better all around. It was a 100% good decision to go.
I
up
tried to
in
be
weight.
a vegan for 3 or 4 months just to check it out. I read that book, The China Study. Have you read that?
Yeah, but have you ever read the criticisms of that book?
No, I haven't. But that book did its job and terrified the shit out of me for a little bit. Yeah, and I was like, I'm gonna see how this goes and try it. So I tried it, which was for me is really difficult, right? Because I was traveling a ton at that time, going to all different countries. So being a vegan was a challenge. I didn't starve myself. I definitely was eating a lot, and I actually gained weight. But I immediately, it was like I took estrogen or something. I immediately, it's going to sound bad. Like I'm sure my vegan friends out there are like shit talking on vegans, but I lost any muscle. I was working out like a beast at the time, and I lost like the muscle that I had, like the muscle density went away like very quickly. And I continued working out. My energy levels were high. I was sleeping really well. I felt like I was processing the things I was eating really well. But I ended up gaining like 10 pounds in 4 months.
A lot of carbs.
Yeah, which is weird. I thought I would lose weight. I gained weight, but I definitely did. I lost. My body liked it from the perspective of my sleep pattern was totally fine. I felt like I had energy, but my body hated it from like a vanity standpoint. I just.
Do you think maybe you're just doing it wrong? Like if you had
full
like
Bill Gates rig.
Is he vegan?
I'm just joking, but his body. Like,
Well, when he talks about global health, I'm like, how about personal health? Look at you. He's fat as fuck. He's got this giant gut.
how good are those stories about Bill Gates? Not to go off on down a different road, but like all the stories. I always just thought he was like this nerdy dude. He had these interests in like computer software and, whatever gene therapies, whatever got going on now. But like all the stories about him throwing like raging parties and he's like hammered drunk and he's like gnarly like womanizer guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Hammered?
Yeah, hammered drunk.
Where are you hearing these studies? Or are these
I don't know.
stories?
Jamie could probably pull it up.
Here it is or that.
I
Bill
don't think
Gates
I'm.
hosted nude pool parties.
Hello.
And got drunk pretty
Let's
easily.
go.
But again, listen to this. Insiders say. Oh, insiders. Bill Gates went to a Seattle all-nude strip club and invited them to come swim in his pool.
Yeah.
According to biographer James Wallace. He's dead now. James Wallace died in a strange strangulation episode. Bill and Melinda Gates announced their divorce after 27 years of marriage. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
dude.
Look at that. Bill
he
Gates, womanizer.
He was not
held
just the
nude
nerdy Bill
parties.
Gates that we all have come to
the
know.
biographer said this. How does his biographer find all this about him? Ask people.
Notorious
Yeah, but
for throwing naked
They-
pool
they
parties
just
with
like-
strippers. Bad Bill.
Imagine if you throw one party with strippers and then you're fucking notorious for it. I mean, how many times did he do that? I bet before the internet, though, he thought he could get buck wild. Back when Windows 95 came out.
But like, as if it's a big deal. It's only a big deal because it's Bill Gates, right?
Right.
Like, it's not a big deal.
No.
So he likes strippers and naked pool parties. Who doesn't?
Who
For
doesn't?
real. Like,
From
that's
a
normal.
1997 biography.
That's
Oh.
we need to normalize that. It's not
Yeah.
cool. Like,
It seems normal to want
He
to
was
be
just-
around naked people. People
yeah,
do
he
enjoy
was having a good time.
naked bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe his wife wasn't on board, and that's why it's not cool. But
maybe
otherwise,
she
I
was.
see no problem with it. Yeah.
Maybe she's behind a fucking
Maybe she
two-way mirror.
had the tripod set up and was filming the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe she was blackmailing everybody just the way
Melinda.
Epstein blackmailed
Melinda
him.
behind the cam.
Yeah. After a while, she had to tap out. That's enough, Bill. Good luck. See ya.
Bad Bill.
You
That's funny.
just, but again, here's a guy who's concerned with vaccines and health, and he's got a giant gut. Like, dude,
Yeah.
you're overweight. Like,
Yeah.
this is the worst thing you could ever be in this pandemic.
Have you ever seen the national health minister for what is it?
Yeah,
I'm sure
Belgium.
you guys have Belgium.
Yeah, hilarious.
Yeah, it's a picture of health.
This saying that's the national. Well, it's just what? How do they?
Who hired that person?
Yeah.
And said the optics on this is totally fine.
She's fine. Seems fine. Only morbidly obese.
Jamie.
I mean,
You got a
looks
visual
like
for
she's seconds away from dead.
Yeah, it's not a good look. Not to be.
You didn't catch the name of the person you were
Oh,
saying. That
Belgian health minister.
Okay, yeah, we've had
You
it
know the
before.
one, right?
Yeah.
It's preposterous. But in Belgium, like, what do? They drink beer. What else comes from Belgium?
Eat sticks of butter, by the looks of it.
I think it's a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
When someone's that big.
Whoa.
Yeah, there it goes.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with her, but like national health minister, I just think the optics is
Well, she's morbidly
a little
obese.
sketchy.
Absolutely morbidly obese.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's crazy. Oh, she said she was quoted as saying vegan diet is unhealthy and dangerous for infants. Well, okay.
Holy
that's true.
shit is
Probably
the
for
only-
infants, but what are you eating? Oh my God, look how big she is. She's got back fat, like all the way up the back of her neck. That's a large lady.
Oh man.
I mean,
Poor
maybe nobody
thing.
yeah. wanted the job. But why do you think she would take it?
Yeah, and who hired her?
Some asshole.
We need. Yeah. I mean, that's mean to say, but like it's not right. She had the wrong job.
It's accurate, is what it is.
Yeah.
It might be. It's kind of mean if she.
It's bad
hears
hiring
it.
right there.
She weighs. That's English. 20 stone. I love that. That's I think 20 stones.
How many-
230 pounds.
How many pounds in a stone?
Is a stone 13 or 14 pounds?
14 sounds right, I think.
So what does that article say? 20 stone minister for public health is accused of being too big to be credible, but hits back saying it's what's inside that counts. Oh, she hit back. Is that a clap back? Did she clap back? Fuck out of here.
Oh man.
She hits back. It's what's inside that counts. Yeah. All that food.
Yeah.
That counts.
Yeah.
That counts against your health.
It really does count in a big way.
Well, also it's a lack of discipline for sure, but also like a lack of awareness. Like, why do you keep eating when you get that big? Like, at what point in time do you go, hey, I fucking gotta put this in check? Like, I can't see my feet.
I wonder that all the time. I mean, yeah, and it's probably. I mean, it's. I don't know. Like for me, I've never really had weight weight issues, right? Like my body's normally probably supposed to be sort of similar to this. And it may be harder for her, maybe as she has a thyroid issue, whatever it is. But regardless, there's lifestyle choices that she could lose 100 pounds in the next 2 years
100%.
if she wanted to.
Yeah, for sure. It could definitely be done.
Regardless of her thyroid, regardless of,
Yeah,
things
a lot
that are
of
making it
people
a
have
little
done
harder for her.
A lot of people have done it.
People do it all the
It's not
time.
easy.
Yeah.
To change your life like that,
Yeah.
to go from where you are now to where you want to be, to make these massive adjustments and become a different person. It's not it's not easy. It's not just hard. It's really fucking hard.
Yeah, it's really hard.
But people have done it.
Isn't it crazy how people have discipline for some things, but other things not?
Yeah.
I have a really good friend he's been struggling with his weight for a long time. He's really big, and he's super disciplined with working out. Works out every day, hardcore. He's always sending me pictures of him all sweaty, running up the stairs. But when it comes to food, he's totally undisciplined. So he works out really hard, but he eats like terrible. And so he's really huge. And I feel so bad for the guy. I'm like, dude, you're so disciplined with your exercise.
He just loves it.
Bring it over here to the food part. And it's...
Yeah, but it's like people think that that's their reward for the exercise, so they can go eat a large pizza.
And it is to a certain extent, right? Like I eat
once a week.
I eat sort of what I want, and I feel like I justify it by working out a lot.
She's not the health
She's
minister
out
anymore.
as health minister in new Belgian government.
Just for record.
It says, "I will be a free woman from tomorrow," she said, and
Hopefully
I'm
she's
gonna fucking eat
free
cake and celebrate.
Hopefully she's free to get on the program.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it would be nice. It would be nice if she was healthy. I love when people lose weight and get healthy. Like my friend Laura, I was telling you about. She's a comedian, hilarious comedian. I've taken her on the road a bunch of times. During the pandemic, at the beginning of the pandemic, she was very overweight, and she realized, like, oh my God, this is like the highest risk for mortality is to be overweight. So she started watching videos of people doing exercise routines, did some at home, and then got a trainer and lost a shitload of weight. I think she does all her training with this lady online, like a Zoom thing. But I think it's one of her friends too. But anyway, she's lost what has Laura lost? Like 50 pounds? At least.
Once you start seeing those results too, it's got to be so addicting.
Yeah.
To see that progress and feel better and like just way less impact. And like for, if someone's really big their whole lives and all of a sudden they lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds and they just feel better and
and they get momentum.
It's got to be exhilarating. Yeah.
Well, she's had
high.
addiction problems in the past, and now her new addiction is being healthy, which is a great addiction to have. And so when we go out to dinner, like she makes sure there's no sugar in anything she orders. She'll ask them if there's any gluten.
Wow.
And she's like super strict, like just vegetables and fish and
Wow.
meat and just no fucking around at all. No dessert, drinks water.
I feel so good.
Yeah, man. Like she looks great. I mean, see if you can find out before or after. We've shown it before, but it's worth celebrating because when someone can pull it together and have discipline and show results, it lets everybody know, oh, I look like her before. I can do it. I can be healthier.
Yeah.
And now, like, you would never imagine. If you saw her, you just see, oh, look, that thin girl. She looks like a healthy person. Normal, like a healthy, active person. When we go to the gym, look at her.
Wow.
Isn't that
That's
crazy?
Isn't
that amazing?
That is so inspiring. Imagine all the people that she knew. It's like, what? Imagine
I know. If you saw her today and
Yeah.
you hadn't seen her in a couple years.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I love that.
Yeah, it's
And
amazing.
Think of how much better protected she is against all the shit that we're dealing with these days, being way healthier and stronger. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, giant fucking difference. Giant difference.
Am I spreading misinformation by saying that?
Yep. Yeah, and you're going to go to jail, according to this new New York law. You see that new New York law they're trying to pass, Jamie?
That's crazy talk.
There's wild bills that I put it on my Instagram stories because Chris Weidman sent it to me. And this is really crazy shit. But on January 5th, the legislative session begins, and there's a snapshot of a few of the bills that are looking to be passed for New York State. And one of them, Assembly Bill A8378, forced COVID shots mandated to attend school. And then it gets down.
Wow.
There's a couple other ones, but
Forced.
here's one. eliminates religious exemption for work and college. And then here's the bottom. Eliminates parents' consent to shots when a child reaches 14 years of age. So your 14-year-old kid, you can't say that your kid doesn't get a COVID shot. The school just gives them a shot. The school just takes care of your kid's body, which is wild. Eliminates a parent's right to consent to STD shots for children of any age. So imagine your child is 5 and they give your kid what are the shots? Like there's one for warts. What is that? What is that called? Human papilloma virus. Yeah, HPV, which apparently has like some wild side effects for some people. They could just give it to your 5-year-old. Here's another one. This is the scariest one. Assembly Bill A416 allows the governor to imprison without trial anyone she considers a threat to public health. So I'm like, is that me? Like if I say, hey, I don't think you should get vaccinated. Like, is that me? If I said something like that. I mean, if I did say something like that, and I think I have in the past. If I said something like that, am I a threat to public health? Like, is that, like, what is
It's
that?
sure seeming like
the
that's-
governor gets to choose that? Like, that's unconstitutional. Without trial? In prison without trial. That's so vague. A threat to public health? What does that mean? Well, if you're fat and you're sick and you're sneezing on the subway, you're a threat to public health.
Yeah.
Like, what's a threat to public health? Like, that's
It's
pretty
whatever they
fucking
say it is,
vague.
which is really effed up.
Dude, this is what's scary to me about this COVID thing is that the government has gotten accustomed to having way more power over people, way more power to control people's lives, and they like that shit. They enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it's human nature to crave that power, and when they see that moment, it's like gaining momentum too, right? That's
Also, they
getting
feel
bigger.
righteous. They
Yeah.
feel like it's a good cause. They
Yeah.
should be doing this. Like, God, these fucking idiots. We need to help them.
Where I am, I'm on Oahu right now, hanging out surfing with my kid, and the school there is doing these vaccine drives where they we're staying with a family there, and they have a couple little kids, and that school is doing these vaccine drives where they have this like mobile vaccine bus that pulls up right in front of the school. The parents can't go in there. Parents got to drop off their kid on the perimeter of the school. Kids go in. The bus is in the school. During school hours, doing this vaccine drive, in the classroom, the teachers are saying, "Who's getting vaccinated? Raise your hand." So like there's like these.
So it's pressure on them.
It's heavy pressure on them, and it's like they're shaming. The teachers are. Some of the teachers are shaming the children that aren't getting vaccinated. They're doing these vaccine drives. You have to before. I forget what it was, but now you have to sign to opt out for your kid. But before, if you didn't, they could go ahead and vaccinate your kid, and that happened on Maui a few times. But it's just heavy.
My friend's son got vaccinated, and he has myocarditis, and it hit him hard, and he's really freaking out about it. He has heart palpitations. His heart races. He's not the only person I know that's had it. From the one guy I know that's in his late 30s got it, and he's been rushed to the emergency room twice because like his heart's just racing out of control, and he's freaking out, and so they took him to the emergency room twice. He's a healthy guy, plays soccer, fit, decided to get vaccinated. Just was one of the unlucky ones. And it's not a lot of people, It is
though.
It is.
It is
over time.
Yeah, because I mean, my friend group is not that big, and I know quite a few people who have had adverse effects from vaccinations. I have a really good friend who's a lifeguard,
and we should say COVID vaccinations.
Yeah, COVID vaccinations.
Yeah, we're not talking about like regular vaccinations.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who's had an adverse event to other vaccinations.
No, I don't either. But I know a handful of people that have had really horrible adverse effects from the COVID vaccination, and long lasting.
Yeah.
One of my friends is a lifeguard, and he got the first shot, and his heart immediately started racing like crazy. Thought he was having a heart attack, and that lasted for a very long time. And he was scheduled to get his second shot, and he had to. It was mandated in Hawaii for all the lifeguards, all the firefighters, all this stuff, and he was terrified to get the second shot. He thought he was going to die because the first shot, it just kept happening. Like his heart just was going crazy for so long.
Yeah.
He was terrified. It's really scary.
Did he get the second shot?
I think he did get a second shot.
How did he do with it?
I think this guy is like, I hate him. He's ripped dreamboat. He's one of those guys, like just super crazy healthy, young. I mean, he would be totally, almost guaranteed he'd be totally fine getting COVID.
Well, he would be totally fine with the proper treatment.
Yeah.
This is the thing about, like, I'm not advocating that everybody would be fine with no treatment. What I am saying is with monoclonal antibodies, I think most people would be fine. And if you talk to Dr. Peter McCullough, he says there's not a shortage of monoclonal antibodies. What they have done is they made a concerted effort to make them very difficult to get because they want to encourage one thing, one singular thing, and that thing is vaccination. And that's the thing that they're most profitable.
Nobody knows how to get monoclonal antibodies. Very few people.
A lot of people know now.
In
more
Hawaii,
people should know. It
in
should
Hawaii,
be
I have
more
no idea
accessible.
how to get them.
You know what they've done in Texas? You know, crazy. A friend of mine went, and he's a white guy, and he went, and they told him that they couldn't give it to him because of his age and his body mass, because he's white. But if he was Hispanic or black, they would be able to give it to him.
That's so messed up.
And he went, "What?" He goes,
That's because our country's white supremacist. Wait, what?
He said, if I looked exactly like my body now, but I had more melanin.
That's crazy.
You'd be able to. She goes,
because of your
yes,
skin tone.
because you'd be in an at-risk group. You're not in an at-risk group. So because you're a white guy. And she goes, I'm so sorry. I have no say in this.
That's seriously messed up.
And he was laughing. He's like, wow, this is crazy.
That makes zero sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it's a strange thing that we have going on in this country, and it happened very quickly. It's almost like if you woke up, if you were Rip Van Winkle, and you maybe, let's say you got hit over the head in 2019 in September, and you went into a coma, and you woke up now, you'd be like, what?
You wouldn't even
What
believe it.
is
It's
happening?
a strange world. It's like a long episode of Black Mirror.
Fact check. No policy denies white people antibody treatment, Texas Health Department says. There's a video of it.
I know, and the video says that. Well, I know. So they talk about the video in this, and then they reached out to the Texas Health Services.
Yeah, but they absolutely did to this guy I know. Like, people are definitely doing that.
Dude.
Maybe they're...
That doesn't mean it's a policy. It means that
Right.
person is an asshole, maybe.
I
think
don't
if
think
we've-
so. I don't think... You mean the person at the clinic is
Like
an
the
asshole
nurse,
for
whoever said
denying
that they
it?
couldn't do it.
But she was saying she was sorry. That this was the way that they had to do it. Well, I don't know. I mean, this might be covering up for some fucking horseshit.
Or it's not, but...
It's hard to say.
Pretty sure the fact checks is not exactly what we are told that fact checking is supposed to be like.
I have multiple friends that have been denied monoclonal antibodies at this place for being too thin, for
Wow.
being too fit. Like if you're healthy, they'd say your body mass is too much. You have to like lie about your body mass. You'd have to lie about your body fat.
So it'd be difficult for me to get the monoclonal antibodies.
Yeah, you're too thin. You're healthy. You'd have to go and say I have asthma. You'd have to make some stuff up in some places. In Florida, however, they've
This
got
is
it
saving
perfect.
people's lives. Like
100%.
It should be like very easy to get.
Dude, there's some shenanigans going
Yeah.
on, and what those shenanigans are, and why did it happen at that one place where there was a video? Why did it happen to my friend? Why did it happen to other friends who they've said that they're too healthy and too fit? I don't know. I know one guy who went to this place and they got him in there, and then they said, no, we can't give it to you because your body mass is too low. And then my friend Tim, who's overweight, went to the same place, and he got him easy, but he's overweight. So,
Wow.
But meanwhile, according to Dr. Peter McCullough, there's millions and millions of available treatments. These monoclonal antibodies. There's not a shortage of them. He's like, there's a shitload of that stuff. And they ordered a lot of it, and you can get it, and it's not hard to make. I'm like, is there a limited supply? He's like, absolutely not. I'm like, really? He goes, no, this is about encouraging people to get vaccinated, and that's it.
Yeah. And it's working. you
Yeah.
know?
But
Yeah.
the thing is, it's like, when has there ever been just one single approved treatment for any disease? When you know that there's other treatments that are available. You know that it's possible. This was never thought of that there was a thing that you could just do and you could get really much better, much quicker than if you didn't do anything. That was never the case before when we were talking about COVID. It was if you got sick, you were kind of fucked, and hopefully you made it, and maybe you need to get on a ventilator. And then eventually it became like, what treatments are available? What is available? But if there was something like from the jump, like when COVID broke in March of 2020, when they locked down the country, if there was monoclonal antibodies widely distributed back then, and anytime someone's sick, they can go to a place, get shot monoclonal antibodies, and you're good to go. Not only are you good to go, but you have antibodies now, and you're never going to catch it again. Or if you do catch it again, it's highly unlikely. That was the one thing that Peter McCullough said that I didn't necessarily believe. And he was saying that if you have COVID once, you can't catch it again. And I was like, God, I think I know people that have caught it more than once. I've heard of people that caught it more than once.
Yeah.
And he
I've
goes,
definitely
no.
heard
He
that.
said they probably had the flu or something else, and they had a negative or a false positive. I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know if that's. I mean, it's like I feel like this disease is too young for someone to say you can't get it twice, because if you got COVID in March of 2020, and then here we are heading into January of 2022, who the fuck is to say that like in 2024 you can't get it? Or 2025, like maybe immunity is not that robust. Maybe it's great for like a couple of years, then it dies
Right.
off. We don't know.
We know
like
very
we
little.
know about SARS, the original SARS, that some people have antibodies 18 years later. But what about some people don't?
That's crazy, right?
I mean, we don't know
how long it can last.
Yeah, for that. But that's with most things, right? Like if you get chicken pox, you never get it again. That's how it normally is. And that's why there's vaccines, like normal vaccines, that when you get that vaccine, you never get that disease. And I think they're trying to come up with one of those for COVID. I think there's one coming out that's going to be like an inert form of the virus. And that's probably going to encourage a lot more people to get vaccinated because it doesn't seem so weird like an mRNA vaccine.
Well, it's kind of weird that they changed the definition of a vaccine, right?
Right. It's gene therapy.
Yeah.
Well, and also
That's
what
pretty
an
fishy.
anti-vaxxer
Think about
is.
how fishy that is.
It's funky.
Yeah.
There's another thing with an anti-vaxxer is the definition includes someone who's against mandates. That's what it says.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's the new definition of anti-vaxxer. If you're against the government telling you that you have to take
That's
a
bullshit
shot
is what that is.
that has a very low, like the amount of time that's been spent considering the safety profile, like the amount of time they've been studying what happens to people over the years of taking it, that's not a lot of data. And that if you are against a mandate of taking that, you're an anti-vaxxer. Even with the monoclonal antibodies, even knowing that there's treatments out there that 100% fix
That
it
work.
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, they fucking work. They want to be in denial of it. They don't want you to have a choice. They want you to have one choice, that's get vaccinated. But what if people have told me, oh, well, you've gotten over COVID, now you should get a shot of the vaccine, you'll be even more protected. I'm like, bitch, I'm protected. I'm more protected than you, and you haven't gotten COVID. I'm like, I'm more protected. There's an Israeli study of, I think it was 2.5 million people they did a study on, and they found that people who have recovered from COVID have a 6 to 13 times better chance of not getting COVID again than someone who's been vaccinated.
But we never talk about that or hear about it.
You don't hear about it. No, they don't want to. They don't want to include that. They want you to get vaccinated. So even if you've already recovered from COVID and you have better antibodies, they still want you to get vaccinated because it's like a cult. This is the cult of the vaccinated.
Well, we talked about this earlier too, and it's what nobody talks about. You know, it's really difficult to find this information out. But if you've already had COVID, it's actually it's much more dangerous getting the vaccine.
It has a higher likelihood of adverse side effects, and I think it's 2
after
to 4.
having recovered from COVID.
Yes,
correct?
after having recovered from COVID, I
But
think I saved
if you
that.
tell somebody that, they think you're spreading misinformation. It's simply not.
Right.
That is the truth.
Yeah.
So for people who have already had, so for people who have already had COVID and recovered and they're totally fine, it's super justifiable that they would have a lot more fear about getting vaccinated. You know?
Yes, you should. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make. It's like everyone's in a fucking tizzy.
You're supposed to trust the science, but not that science.
That science.
Not that science.
Not that science. That's a tricky science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is. Yeah, it's fucked up.
Well, there's also when people get vaccinated, they want you to get vaccinated too. I did it. I took my shot. I took one for the team. You know, I did the thing that you're supposed to do, and you're not doing the thing you're supposed to do. So there's that. They want you to do it. You should do it. You should get vaccinated.
Like a tribal mentality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you do get like really sick, like, God, you're only sick for a few days. God, what are you worried about? Like, I don't know, man. My heart's racing fast. You're fine. Maybe you're just out of shape. You're fine. It's mild myocarditis. Like, we don't even know. It's like, this is the one time ever in our lives where we're supposed to trust the pharmaceutical companies. All of our lives. It's like the pharmaceutical companies are a bunch of money-hungry monsters who don't give a fuck about you, and they're just concerned about making profits. Now
Which is a
it's like,
fact.
that was
And they've been in
then.
trouble with the law for decades.
That was then.
Yeah.
That was not during the pandemic.
Now we're supposed to not ask any questions and be involved with it.
Yeah, and you're not supposed to promote healthy lifestyles as an alternative to this. And you're not even supposed to consider the fact that for most people that are fat and unhealthy, listen, man, you are fucked no matter what. You're fucked no matter what. Because even if you don't get COVID, you're going to have a heart attack, okay?
Yeah.
You're not going to make it anyway. Like, I don't know what you're saying about, you know, like, we're in danger and you're not. Like, bitch, please.
Yeah.
Bitch, please. You can't, like, exonerate yourself from decades of being a slob and being a person who has no consideration about their health and about their obesity and about the kind of food they put in their body and their lack of vitamins and exercise. And all of a sudden, you're health righteous? Fuck you. Fuck you. That's been my whole life. That's my whole life is about being healthy. I've been healthy forever. I haven't been sick in 11 fucking years. I got sick one time and it was with COVID. And it was only for a couple of days. And you're telling me that you're the one who's doing the right thing and the smart thing, and you're the one who's healthy? Get the fuck out of here. That's straight nonsense. And you got to confront those people on it.
Yeah.
Because they run around all self-righteous. Like, I got the shot. You're going to be in trouble if you get the COVID. Like, bitch, you're going to get COVID even after you get the shot.
And they are.
They're getting it like
It's
crazy.
funny,
Like my friend who got boosted, fucking boosted, double vaccinated, boosted 2 months ago, COVID.
And crazy sick from COVID. Not only
Not
got it, but
good.
like crazy sick.
Yeah, not good.
Which
Feels like shit.
That's really why you're supposed to get the vaccination, right? Is so when you do, if and when you do get COVID, that you have a much higher probability to not get really sick.
Well, it points to that study about obesity. Like, it's a real problem. They're not developing the proper antibodies, and they're not going to recover well. And these poor fucking people. And they're going to have to probably get on monoclonal antibodies anyway. I hope they do.
Yeah.
If they listen to this and they know.
Yeah.
Because if you get admitted to the hospital, by the way, they don't give you monoclonal antibodies once you get into the hospital. They'll only do it before you're admitted. For what? I mean, that was another thing that Peter McCullough was discussing.
You do not want to go to the hospital for this.
Yeah, it's not good, man.
Yeah.
Or if you do, you want to go to a really good hospital.
Yeah.
It's fucking tricky. But folks, please, just go take care of yourself. Please. Go walk around, get together with your friends, make a pact. You got some fat friends, get together. And it is a fat friend. Okay, stop all this body positivity shit.
It is what it is.
Yeah, just take care of yourselves. Just make a pact. Make a contest with your friends. Let's see who can do the most fucking body weight squats, push-ups, sit-ups, and who loses the most weight at the end of X amount of time, and put a fucking pool together. Like, everybody throw in $100. And, you know, one guy gets to win all the money.
Yeah.
And then you take photos for Instagram.
And
motivate yourself.
And bragging rights. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's get healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, you fucks.
Seriously.
Yeah, you fucks.
I like that. I like that idea.
How much of your diet is like wild game?
You know, a lot. Well, it's kind of I consistently eat wild game. I'd say 4 days a week. I probably eat wild game, and my wife loves it too. Both my kids love it. I pretty much only hunt deer and elk at this point, and I kill a lot of deer. In Hawaii, I'm super lucky. You can kill as many as you want with your bow. So this year, I think I killed 13 deer.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Dude, you must be eating nothing. That's a lot of meat.
It's a lot of meat, but I love to share them.
Yeah, that's nice too, isn't it?
It's different in Hawaii, right? Because you know, here in California, or you go to Utah, you go to Colorado, you go to Montana, you get your one deer tag, and you go and kill your deer, and that's your deer for the year. which is awesome. But it's based on like the population levels of the game.
Yeah.
In Hawaii, if a deer is on your property, that's your deer. You can kill it, and we don't have any mountain lions. We don't have any wolves. We don't have any bears. There's nothing killing these.
There's a need to control the
There's a
population.
need.
Yeah.
So, you're encouraged to kill as many as you possibly can. So it's awesome and they're delicious. And so to answer your question, I probably eat venison, axis deer, 4 days a week.
It's so good for you.
For dinner.
My God.
It's amazingly good and delicious, and it just feels so good. But I eat small portions. I probably eat, just in general, I eat smaller than my palm.
Okay, so like 4 ounces, something like that.
Yeah. So I consistently eat meat, but it's usually pretty small.
But if you look at a small 4-ounce portion of that in comparison to a 4-ounce portion of, say, domestic beef, the protein content is so much higher. I mean, it's double.
Much more nutrient dense too. So you get, I feel like you feel a lot different afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I definitely
feels
think
amazing.
so.
Feels amazing.
I definitely think that the amount of wild game that I've eaten over the last few years has contributed to my vitality. It just has to have.
Yeah.
Just only makes sense.
I think that's one of the choices that I've made in my life that has made the biggest health difference is eating more wild game in combination with healthy foods. And then this was one of my New Year's resolutions, like I think the year before last, is eating one meal out of my blender each day.
Out of your blender?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what do you put in there?
That was from Kelly Slater. He's a super health fanatic and very, very does tons of research about his health, but he eats a lot of his meals out of blenders, and so that was one of my things I wanted to implement into my
for digestion
routine.
Purposes.
Like, just for overall health.
Why? Okay, when you say out of your blender, what are you putting in there?
Fruits, vegetables, fats. Just in general, like say I make a smoothie basically, essentially for lunch almost every day, and I'll put bananas, frozen raspberries, frozen strawberries, acai. Acai is
Sure.
I'll put in macadamia nut oil. I'll put in almond butter, and I'll put in like these like a pulverized greens. I forget what it's called off the top of my head, but essentially it's like this greens powder that's like algae.
Like athletic greens?
Yeah, like that, like algae and grasses and stuff like that.
Nice.
And so it's a bunch of greens in there, fats and vegetables, and it's good. And some protein powder.
Are you supplementing with vitamins or anything as well?
Yeah.
Yeah? What kind of stuff do you take?
I take stuff that my wife gives me.
That's good.
But I normally take I really like that Garden of Eden. They make a lot of really good stuff.
They do.
But I basically take like these days I take a lot of vitamin C. I probably take I think like 3,000 milligrams of vitamin C. I take a lot of vitamin D, zinc, quercetin. Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah.
Quercetin.
Yeah.
I take what is the root? I'm drawing a blank.
Curcumin?
No. Not ginger.
Turmeric?
Yeah.
Turmeric.
Turmeric
and curcumin, I think, is the same thing.
And I think how your body processes quercetin and maybe even zinc is really similar to turmeric.
Well, turmeric, I think what quercetin and turmeric, what they have in common is I think they're both ionophores.
That's right.
Yeah.
Who's the
same thing?
Who's the girl who did our
curcumin? Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So I take a lot of that stuff.
What? Who's the girl who did what?
The girl who did our nasal swabs today.
Oh, Mercy?
Yeah, Mercy. She was explaining.
Oh, okay.
That.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I take a lot of vitamins every day. That's misinformation.
Curcumin is a substance in turmeric.
Ah, there you go. All right, now we know.
Yeah, there you go.
So
yeah,
curcumin
vitamins,
is like the active part of it. Is that what it is?
Turmeric is a common spice that comes from the curcuma longa.
Have you had any of this turmeric coffee from Laird? Laird Hamilton? We got a machine back there.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Oh my God, it makes me addicted. I'm addicted to that coffee.
And the creamer's so good.
Yeah, it's fucking great,
It's
man.
good stuff.
And it's all really good for you.
Yeah,
super healthy.
It is. It's
I
really
love
good.
turmeric, and you know what I really love is CBD. Do you fuck with CBD at all?
Yeah.
I take a lot of that shit.
I had a CBD massage yesterday.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm here in Austin on our 20th wedding anniversary.
Aww.
So my wife and I are not only getting stem cells in my knee and doing Joe's podcast, but we're also celebrating and having a good time.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Multitasking.
So we
with
did
CBD
massage yesterday. So it's like CBD oil.
Well, that makes sense because I use CBD. I'm a big fan of CBD MD has a bunch of great stuff, and one of the things they have is these rollers. It's like a roll-on for like CBD
I have some of that
freeze
stuff.
and
It's
CBD
so good.
recover. And
Yeah.
I like if I have a sore muscle, I'll just get that roll-on right into the muscle and massage it in.
Yeah.
But for me, oral CBDs like drops, the shit, and gummies, the shit. It's so good. Cause like I'm always like after I hit the bag, I'm always like my toes are sore, just from like kicking and like pushing off the ground and stuff, and just everything aches and pains. And God, CBD is so good for that.
Do you use it to help you sleep, like the gummies or whatever?
I sleep like a brick, man.
Yeah, me too. I don't have any sleeping issues.
I work
That is
hard.
a major. Man, I feel so bad for people who have sleeping issues.
My
I feel
wife has.
Yeah.
Them. Yeah.
It's really,
but she only has them like when the kids are in school. She's got to take.
Yeah.
She's very responsible, so she has to think about things. You know, I'm irresponsible.
Yeah.
And luckily my job is, like you love surfing.
Yeah.
I love comedy. I love it. I never think, I have to do comedy. Shit. I love it. It's fun.
And you love MMA?
Yeah, I love the UFC.
Yeah.
When I show up for a UFC fight, and when the fight starts, when the card starts, I'm never thinking, God, I wish I was somewhere else. I'm always like, wow, I can't believe this is my job. I always think that.
That's
To
like me
this
and
day.
surfing.
Yeah.
I don't see it as a job at all.
And even
surfing.
podcasting. I love podcasts. I fucking talk to you. When you and I could just sit down anywhere and talk.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're sitting down and people are listening, great. I love it.
Crazy that we somehow found something that we absolutely love to do, and somehow
we're both very lucky.
Yeah.
We're both very, very lucky. And I think one beautiful thing about having a podcast like this is that people get to hear that there are fortunate people out there that have figured out a thing that they love so much that they want to do it all the time.
Yeah.
And then those people need to know that you can find something like that too. Whether it's writing
true.
books, maybe it's being a carpenter, but whatever it is, what is the thing that you love? There's got to be a thing you love where when you go to work, you enjoy the shit out of it. That's real life. Because if you could do that, man, it's so much better.
And no matter what they have you believe, there's more people doing that than ever right now.
I think so because of the pandemic, a lot of people woke up and realized, like, hey, this could all be taken away from me at any point. I should go for it. Whatever the fuck I want to do, really want to do, I should go for it.
And a lot of the tools that are in place to enable you to do that weren't in place a long time ago with like modern technology and like internet and stuff like that.
Like
People are-
OnlyFans. Like there's a lot of
Exactly.
girls being
Yeah.
hoes
Passionate.
that didn't have a chance.
Spreading that passionate.
I love the fact that girls are making so much money. I found a girl yesterday that's making $50,000 a week selling her farts. Jamie, did I send that to you?
The hell?
Did I send it to you?
All right, we need to get down to the
Told me
bottom
about
of
it.
this.
Didn't send it to me.
New York Post. Here we go. I'm gonna send this to you right now, Jamie. I'm sending you lots today.
I got it.
Here it is. Reality TV star says she makes $50,000 a week selling her farts.
She fart in a jar and sending it to
I
people?
sent you better because I sent you a picture of the gal.
Wow.
So
I feel
the
like-
difference is she's so hot you would want her farts.
Dude, I feel like this studio would really, really benefit from a jar of this chick's farts.
How much do you think she charges for a jar of farts?
There's only one way to find out.
And open it.
Not open it? Or
No, open it.
And see
No,
what
open
Someone's
it.
got to sniff that fart like the salt, like the ammonium.
Right. What we should do is buy it and throw a match in there and see if it's real.
Dude,
Hold on,
So
I
pull
gotta-
up. Look at her. So this lady's very pretty. See? So her farts would be
wow.
worth something.
She's wow.
But here's the thing. The only way you would know that she really farted in that jar is like you got to have a video.
Get NFT of it.
NFT video.
Yeah.
Boom.
But then she could fake it and pretend that this is the one. You'd have to see like
Stop buying them. It would
chain
be
of command. Like
I feel like
hold
you
the
need a
jar,
blockchain the fart.
a full video
Yep.
and watch her write your name on the package, boom, and seal it up with like packing tape and then hold it up to the camera and you're like, we're good.
with a notary public on
Yeah.
site as a witness.
What is she saying? Let me see this. Give me some volume.
Wow. Okay, for real, who are these people that are buying this? I need to know.
Creeps like me.
Well,
Right, people judge
for
me
you, it
for,
wouldn't even
"Oh,
be
watch
creepy.
this
It'd just
one."
be an awesome
Here you go.
art piece.
It's a
Here we
TikTok
go.
though.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
People
she's just
judging
lip-syncing
me
a video.
for selling my jarred farts.
Goals. Look at the comment. Goals.
People.
Oh, yeah.
because I get paid.
So,
I think she's lip syncing
yeah,
something.
100%.
Yeah.
She's a TikTok star.
That's
Yeah.
a weird TikTok.
So there it
video
is.
was.
I made $45,000 in 1 week selling my jars of farts. And ever since my last TikTok went viral, I've been getting a lot of questions such as, how long do the farts last? Did I really fart 97 times in 2 days? Who buys my farts and why? And what are some of my tips and tricks?
Wow.
So the first question I get asked a lot is, how long do the farts last? And the smell is most prominent for the first 2 days, but as I like to say, one whiff makes memories that last a lifetime. Now, why do people buy my farts in a jar?
Hey,
I honestly
this
think
is what
it's
I'm talking about.
because
This job
I
did
have a
not
really good
exist
personality.
5 years ago.
It's
And
so
also
much
because I'm
money.
hot.
Yeah.
Now, what are some of my fart selling tips and tricks? Number 1, don't eat Fiber One bars. You might think it's the easy way out, but there is nothing easy about it on its way out, if you know what I mean. Don't push yourself too hard, literally. I made...
It's probably
Wow.
continued on another video.
Fart tips and tricks.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, though. Modern technology, innovation, like...
Do you know there's a girl that's probably a hater. It's like, that bitch isn't even farting in those jars. Those
Yeah,
are empty
for real.
jars. She needs to go to jail. She's a scam artist.
Do you have any male friends that are on OnlyFans?
No.
I do.
Do you?
Yeah.
What are they doing on there?
Shout out to my boy Nathan Florence.
Is he showing his hog?
I don't
Nathan,
know.
what are you doing on OnlyFans, buddy?
He's selling farts in a jar. No, but he isn't. But he may be after this podcast.
Can you
if he
find out how
listens
much
to
a fart costs?
I was looking. So I'm on our website. It doesn't say, which I thought would be
interesting.
I'm also wondering, like, did she just do this once? One guy paid her $45,000. She said she did it 97 times, but like could have been one guy buying it.
50 grand in a week. I feel like there's not that much of a demand for jarred farts.
I don't think you're correct.
I'd review it for her if she wants to send one, but
There's that many weird creeps.
You're so nice. Jamie's so nice. He would review her farts. Meanwhile, her boyfriend's going to fart in a jar. Yeah, send this to fucking young Jamie.
Well, if it started as a business, for sure, you start hiring little kids to fart in jars.
I honestly,
some horrible guy's burrito fart, and you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to jerk off smelling her farts.
Yeah, there's no link to buy the farts. I wonder where she's selling them.
I feel
Maybe
like
she
she's a
had to change the
marketing
link.
genius, this girl. I feel like she just pulled the wool for the first week, saying that she was jarring her farts and she was killing it. And after that, people just were like interested, like how I am right now, that I want to like buy you that as a gift.
And
like,
jar of farts?
Yeah.
That'd be so sweet.
I don't know if
Thank
anyone's
you.
creepy enough to actually do that in a creepy
song?
way, more like a fun art piece and like a kind of like a conversation starter.
Right. Yeah. She should have like a special jar, so you know it came from her. You know, like get some jars made. Don't just use a regular mason jar. You know what she should do? She should have a jar where like like a
Pressure sealed.
Aladdin's genie jar.
Yeah.
With like the
Like Beeple's
lip.
box. That box you had
Beeple's
with all the
box.
lights and everything, you open it up, you get a thing that's going to make you shit. You're going to shit your pants when you open this box.
That'd be nice.
Just so you know.
But what I was thinking, like a type of jar that she could fart in, where you could really seal it in there good. So like have a small opening that it like a vase, right? So in the bottom, it like swells out like a tulip or some
And
shit.
it's pressurized, like how you pressurize
Just
wine.
put it right up to your asshole, so it like covers the whole asshole, and you blow into it. Boo! And then put a thumb over the top quickly. Stuff a cork in there. Seal it up.
Dude, our society's officially getting way weird.
I had a girl on the podcast once a long time ago that told me that she would guys would pay her for her shit. She would shit in Tupperware and send it to guys.
Okay, I think I found
Who comes up with this idea? How do you?
Sick dudes. It's
Order fart
definitely
jars here. I
guys. It's
found
not a
it.
girl going, hey, you want to buy my shit?
$100.
She calls $100.
They were $100. There was a temporary. She was like a sale she was doing.
Is that for the jarred farts?
Yeah.
The sale was
$100 a jarred fart.
Yeah, it was like
That's a sale?
Is that like a Black Friday sale?
Yeah.
Order fart jars
I
here.
completely
Look at
missed
her.
the Black Friday sale of this.
It's running a special on fart jars.
All right. I think this is a perfect way to end this podcast. We're 3 hours in.
Mm-hmm.
Are we really? Jeez.
Yeah. Dude, it's fucking 4:16 already.
I got to piss really bad.
Well,
maybe I
perfect
should put it in
time.
a jar and sell it.
Whatever your name is. What's her name? What's her name?
Stepanka.
Stepanka. Congratulations, Stepanka.
Stepanka, I have 3 letters for you. NFT.
I salute your hustle.
Verify the authenticity.
Shane Dorian.
That was
My
fun, man.
That
was fun.
Always fun. Always great to see you, my brother.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.